Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a super sloppy sports and entertainment talk show that covers Giants football, Mets baseball, movies, and TV shows with a little comedy and some life lessons mixed in for good measure. It's hosted by a giant mess, the Real Cinch Neal Lynch. That's me. Former college quarterback and pitcher with a film and media studies degree. Woof. Am I doing any of that? Anything related to that now? No. Now I just overthink shit. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about my trip to Oktoberfest and getting to see Adam Ray, stand-up comedian Adam Ray, live and in the flesh. A bizarre trip to SkyZone Hamilton. A very sensitive medical condition that my daughter experienced that was tricky to handle. And then we also got to see Paw Patrol, the mighty movie. It's my first time with the daughter in a movie theater. Whoa, that's big. How did it go? I'm going to let you know. Then we'll talk about the Giants. Evan Neal, starting right tackle, first round draft pick, top 10 draft pick, coming out and making some really awful comments about the Giants fan base, which led to a very epic rant from Don LaGreca. There was also a really awful article from The Athletic, which had a bunch of anonymous coaches and executives around the NFL straight up shitting on Daniel Jones. Always good to see before a big game. And then we'll recap and review and react to the Dolphins game. Another blowout loss, 31-15, 16, one of those. And then we'll preview the upcoming Sunday night football game against the Buffalo Bills. I hate prime time football. And then we'll finish up with the Mets. Buck Showalter, on his way out the door, made some interesting comments about Billy Eppler. Billy Eppler then resigns unexpectedly, kind of a surprise after the MLB announces an investigation into his injured list practices. Sweet. And then David Stearns. We'll take a look at his biggest offseason decisions as new president of baseball operations and give a nice little premature look at the 40-man roster for 2024. So with all that out the way, let's get into this episode. So I think I might have hinted at this in a previous ep, but I did get to go down to Philly for Oktoberfest. I know with the intro you thought, oh, Neal went all the way to Germany, Deutschland, to go to Oktoberfest? Nay. I went to the an American version, a Philly version of Oktoberfest, and it was good. It was really good. Took the SEPTA to Philly. Took an Uber to the Trenton Transit Center. Took SEPTA to Philly. I have no idea. I get to Philly. My stop. I don't know how to exit. The stop I got off at was not the stop I got off at last go round. Totally new stop, and I went upstairs, and there's just turnstiles upon turnstiles upon turnstiles, but they won't let me through. And I think and it says scan your key card here to exit, and I'm like, I don't have a freaking key card. Like, can we make it more difficult, SEPTA, please? That'd be great. And eventually, this guy came over. I think it was a janitor, could be wrong, and was just like, I'll help you out. He just saw me struggling and was like, it's pathetic. You're pathetic. This whole demonstration you put on is one for the record books. I went to Bank and Bourbon for some espresso martinis. Always nice to get those at like 4 or 5 o'clock. That ensures that you're going to coast for the rest of the day. There's no chances of yawning, getting some shut eye. You're good to go after a couple of those. There was a wedding party that came in, and that I have not been, like, other than the wedding, I've been to a few weddings over the past few years. One of the reasons being, like, I thought it was a curse at one point. That's, I'm a college graduate, master's degree, and I believe in curses. Yeah. I thought going to a wedding whilst divorced or separated was somehow hexing the couple to be wed, the newlyweds to be. And so that was also, it's like, it's that's tough, because like that's gonna, if I had been divorced, and I am now going to more weddings because it's like it's been a while, And I guess if people do see me, I feel a little more comfortable telling them about what happened with the divorce. But I don't want that to kind of dominate the conversation and take away from the joy and the happiness. Like, I got to find ways to like spice it up and make the divorce a lot funnier than it was. I guess it's just not, I don't want to bring the party down, but there was a wedding party there. And you can feel the energy pulsing from the wedding party, from the group, from the wedding. Like they came in. I don't even know if this was after the ceremony, before the ceremony. I'm guessing it's after the ceremony, cocktail hour, right? Before you go to the reception and cocktail hour. It's just like, it's like people are itching to get at it, get after it. And so there's that kind of like anticipatory nerves going on because you're like looking for the reception and you're like, all right, now let's get the ball rolling on this shindig. Let's get the party started up in here. So you can, it was emanating from that group. Like you could just feel it. Everyone's so excited and, there's all kinds of possibilities and endless options. And then you kind of want to flash forward to the end of the night or the morning after and say like, hey, how did things turn out for you? Oh yeah. Cool. Took down the wedding cake, trying to do the worm. All right. So that was cool, but it was also like dominating the room. So we had to get out of there, but ended up walking to South Street for this Oktoberfest. It's a 15th annual Oktoberfest hosted by a German beer hall called Brauhaus Schmitz. I think it just means Schmitz Beer House in Americano. German beer hall. It's the 15th annual one. Ran from 12 to 8. So by the time we got there, it was probably like 5:30. Sun was still burning bright, but it was the golden hour, which was perfect. Took a couple pics that were looking good. But there was probably they claimed there were 1,000 people there. It was crowded, but not to the point where like you can't move. Like the sidewalks were pretty easy to navigate, and there wasn't like you weren't stuck in one position for very long. So they had live music and break dancers, more traditional German dancers, face painting, all kinds of family fun, quote unquote. I didn't see a ton of families there. It was mostly brohams trying to throw down. Live Oompa music. They had some really great food that we didn't get to try, which sucks because I was looking forward to doing a little kibas or bratwurst, excuse me. But the weird part of it was when we got there, there's no cash, no cards. You have to buy tokens, which I feel like is a very indoor amusement park move, that I've been burned on so many times. I can't imagine how much money I have in like an account. If you pool all the accounts that you get for having to buy tokens or put money on a card, I'm a millionaire, basically. So I was like, well, we're going to try and go to dinner. We're supposed to go to a stand-up comedy show, Adam Ray, at like 9:45 or something like that. It might have been 9:15, 9:45, one of those two times. So I'm like, we'll probably want to get dinner at like 7:30, 8. It's already like 5-ish, 5:30. So that's like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And we're in our 40s. Like we're not really at the level in our careers where we can be pounding, So I figure it's like what, 2.5 hours. That's like 1 to 2 drinks per hour, conservatively 3 if you want to get a little nuts. And so I was like, all right, yeah, I'll take 6 tokens or something like that. And the woman selling the tokens was like, they had a deal, big sign that said 11 tokens for $80. And I don't know if it was 11 tokens or it was more than that, but it was like $80, slightly less than what it would be if you just bought, it might've been, was it $4? I don't know how much each of the tokens were. I thought 1 token was a beer. Maybe it's 2 tokens for a beer. The exchange rate and the math on this was not adding up. But the big sign says get 11 tokens or however many tokens for $80. And I see this sign and I'm like, there's no way we're going to be able, Like I could maybe try and achieve something like that, but I am with someone who's not really at the same level of drink capacity as I am. But I later found out, no, that was not the case. Went toe to toe with me. It was neck and neck, head and head, going 1 for 1. And so I had saw that sign. I said, I don't think that's in the cards for us today. It's just the two of us. And so she goes, oh, why don't you get 11 tokens for $80? And I like, nah. And she goes, come on. And I go, okay. Peer pressure has been a weakness of mine for a very long time. And I also, I think the woman selling the tokens kind of could tell, like, you're really going to be a cheap fuck in front of this other person, right? You're actually going to do this. You're going to pull a Scrooge McDuck, Ebenezer Scrooge, dude, in front of this person. You're going to be a miser, none the wiser. I felt all that when she said, come on. That's what I translated what come on means to me. It means like, hey, don't be such a tightwad, So I was like, all right. So, I mean, no, we did not go through all those tokens. We had so many tokens left over. There were some long lines to get some brews, which stunk. I think that it would have been cooler if they had maybe a few more stations to go around. But I think we also picked like the worst station to go to, the worst tent. There are also no more mugs left. That's part of the joy and the wonder and the splendor of Oktoberfest is having a big ass mug, hopefully take that home as a souvenir. But no, they had no more of those left. Kind of a bummer. And the person I'm with says, there's a lot of white people here. And I'm thinking to myself, we're at Oktoberfest, a predominantly like a German holiday. I don't know if you're familiar with the history of Germans. It's like, I wouldn't imagine a lot of, I guess you'd say people of color, minorities, whatever, non-white people to be that excited and pumped about Oktoberfest. But, it wasn't like all white people, but it was a fair amount of white people. A lot of bros, a lot of bros. I saw one guy, he had a huge ass beer mug, but he was pouring White Claws into it. Like, you got to do what you got to do. There's a long line for the restroom, but the long lines weren't that much of a buzzkill. It wasn't at the point where it's like, all right, this is untenable. This is unbearable. We can't enjoy ourselves. It was just at the precipice of that. It was just like, oh, okay. We're like, as long as we're slowly moving, when you're at the standstill and haven't moved for like 5-10 minutes, that's when you start to question a lot of things in life. So we went inside for the restroom and decided to stay in the German beer hall to get a beer there. And I don't know what it is about bartenders and me. I think I might have talked about this prior. I don't have a good history with bartenders. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the pheromones, the stupid, awful look on my face, the very punchable face. Like, if you don't do something about your face, I'm going to have to rearrange it. It's like, okay, well, I'll try to work with that. I think that's what bartenders see. They just see a big steaming pile of garbage when they look over at me, because it's just like they just refuse to serve me. And I used to get visibly upset. And I'm trying to do a better job of like just keeping like somewhat of a smile without being completely creepy about it. Like, this is fine. No. I've been waiting here for 20 minutes. She just walked up to the bar and you served her. No big deal. No big deal. So, I got to work on that. I don't know what to do. I don't know if there's anything I can do. I'm supposed to, I'm supposed to hang out with my bartender friend this weekend. Maybe I'll ask, be like, is there certain things you look for in a customer that makes you say, hey, fuck off? Like, I'm not serving you. It wasn't like I was 3 sheets in a whim, whatever the expression is. I wasn't lambasted, proclamated, whatever. I thought I was looking pretty, like I wasn't falling over, wasn't slurring my speech, the eyes weren't googly. So I don't know. I would love to take an anonymous survey. Just like, no, we just, you just give off bad vibes. And it's like, if that's the answer, bad vibes, I get it, man. Because I can bring down a room in a heartbeat. We got to talk to the owner, which was pretty cool. I guess he had actually gone over to the real, I don't know, the original OG Oktoberfest over in Germany, and come back, and he was in full garb, like with the hat and the suspenders, the lederhosen, and all that stuff. I was contemplating possibly going the full 9. I think if we didn't have to go out to dinner and then to a stand-up comedy show afterwards, that the likelihood would have been higher. Would have been legendary, mate, if I had actually done that, especially given how everything panned out. But the big story coming out of this Oktoberfest was I was kind of by the sidewalk. We're enjoying the music, dancing, and I have to like move out of the way because there is a heavyset lady running down towards me on the sidewalk, yelling and screaming. And in her arms, like not running very fast, but she's trying her best. In her arms is a very small dog that is just bleeding everywhere. and she is just like, oh my God, help me, dear God, please, Jesus. Like, and I think one of the wenches, barmaids, all the workers and employees were dressed in full regalia as well, like in the full garb. So she like kind of tried to intercept her and help her out, get her to the right place. Cause I think there was a hospital nearby. I don't know if it was a pet hospital, but what a wild, I couldn't get my eyes on it. I think she was holding the dog's mouth or muzzle. So maybe the little doggy like decided to pick a fight with the wrong pooch and just got snoodled. Just not a word, but just got the muzzle ripped off its face. So, or maybe a gorilla on bath salts. That also can happen. You never know. So hopefully, fingers crossed, say your prayers, that dog is okay and that lady is okay. Cause that was a bit harrowing to see. It's like, you see something like that and you're like, I'm supposed to like now just go back to dancing, but that's going to be hard to forget. So as the sun set and as the Oktoberfest was coming to an end, it's supposed to end at 8:00. So around 8:00, they're tearing everything down, right? Closing everything down, cleaning everything up. And we're like, wow, we haven't eaten anything. We need to get some dinner like before this stand-up comedy show. And so we're like looking, we're thinking. And then we're like, oh, this restaurant right here. And it was a Vietnamese restaurant called Banh Mi and Bottles. It was literally, I don't know how this place had been open this entire time. Like, it doesn't make sense how you had a full blown Oktoberfest, people puking, pissing, the whole nine, like mere feet away from your storefront, and you're open and serving. It's just like, whew, okay, good for business, bad for business. Well, they got enough business out of me. We got some bao buns, which are pretty decent. I like that a lot. I had sake, and this is my first time having sake where I'm not, it's not sake bomb. This is my first sake, non-sake bomb sake, is what I'm trying to say. That's the only way I've consumed sake for the first half of my life, hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood. But yeah. Never had just had sake as a drink to sip or whatever. And I don't know if I'll be having it again. It's good. It's decent. I'm not a huge white wine guy. I was like grad school or like senior year in college, grad school. And then made the switch to red. But yeah, sake, I didn't hate it. But it was not something that you can, I guess it is a sipping one. I don't know. I'm trying to get at here. All I'm saying is I prefer it in sake bomb form. Am I a fat and ignorant American? Yeah, dude. That's how I do. And then we had some fish dish. I looked at the menu. Maybe I have the receipt here. Probably not. So many receipts. Dear God. Wegmans, Trader Joe's. We'll get to that in a bit. Target. Parking. Here it is. Nope, that's just that. Here it is. All right. A bombao. Coca hamachi nuang. Okay, so that had to be a special because I'm not seeing that anywhere on the menu. I saw like a catfish, fried catfish, which just wasn't fried, and some kind of yellow tail thing, which I don't think we had. Yeah, Coca hamachi nuang, which was pretty good for two. And then nom dudu, don't remember that at all. Spiced kabacha pumpkin pudding. Oh, I forgot about that. That was amazing. And then this says a mouse cocktail, or no, house cocktail. Oh my God, Neal. You know what? I think that's that might be the point where I need to quit podcasting. I think that might be it. I think I need to resign from talking just overall. And then I had a glass of sake. A glass of sake. That should tell you everything you need to know about that sake. One and done. I don't even know what the nom dudu was. I have to look that up. That drives me nuts that I don't remember that at all. I mean, cut me some slack. I had about 1,000 German beers in me. Not enough to use all the tokens, though. Okay. It's like a green papaya salad, and it can be served with beef jerky. That was pretty decent now that I think about it. It might have had pork. Ours might have had pork in it, but yeah. And then Coca hamachi nuang. Yeah, it was really good. Really good. Highly recommend, although not filling at all. And then the pumpkin pudding. I mean, I've said this before. I'll say it again. I'm a basic bitch when it comes to fall. I fucking love fall for all the basic reasons, and biggest being pumpkin season. Just pumpkin everything, dude. I don't care what it is and what form. Just put it in my mouth, my mother effing mouth. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of the pumpkin movement, and the pumpkin pudding. I destroyed that. So yeah, again, good, great, grand, wonderful. I'm fat, so I was definitely not full. So when we went over to the Punchline Philly for Adam Ray, I think it was a 9:15 show. 9:45 is so late. So we were a little bit late, but I did decide to go with premier seating, which was like $5-10 more than the regular seating. And they sat us directly in front of the stage. First row, like number one suspect, number one target for the stand-up comic who wants to do crowd work or wants to roast someone. It's like, I'm for sure getting roasted tonight. Cool. Good thing I'm toasted for the roasted. Yeah. And I decided, why not just order doubles? It was Tito's or tequila, one of the T's. Let's just keep the doubles coming, and decide to order spring rolls. Like, what? Spring rolls, cool. And maybe even tacos? I don't know. It's like, obviously dinner was delicious, but also not filling whatsoever. And so, yeah, if you're not familiar with Adam Ray, who is Adam Ray? Hopefully you are. If you're not, get on it. He is a co-host or host of the About Last Night podcast, which I tried to find on Amazon Music because I'm a weirdo that uses Amazon Music. I think it's on Spotify. I don't know if it's on any other platforms. Definitely iTunes or something. But Adam Ray, he played Jay Leno on Pam and Tommy, which is on Hulu, a series that I highly recommend. Strictly for just to get the juices flowing, you know. He also played Vince McMahon on The Young Rock. I don't know. I think The Young Rock got canceled, but it was on NBC, and he played Vince McMahon on that. I have not got a chance to see him in that role, but he's also had roles not guest roles, supporting roles, minor roles in The Heat, Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy, buddy cop movie, very good. And then Spy, which is also very good with Jason Statham and also Melissa McCarthy. So it sounds like he's got a pretty good rapport. Melissa McCarthy is what you're telling me, but it's actually Paul Feig that he must have a good relationship with, because Paul keeps on casting him for stuff. The host was cool, mostly quirky, just like a big smile and like eyes barely open. I don't know that there were any real jokes, but she was pretty comforting, I guess. Like got everyone like nice and settled, and that's all you can hope for. I don't remember a damn thing the opener said. I don't know. I think I forget how long he went on for. It was like 10, 15 minutes maybe. Couldn't have been longer than that. But I don't know. I completely blacked out that part of the show. And then Adam got on stage. Luckily, his focus went to the two elder ladies to our left, the table next to us. And, he said, "What's your name?" And the first woman gives her name. And he goes, "Okay, what's your name?" And she just guess, which is like one of the worst moves a woman can do. I got to say, it's just woof. I mean, I guess it's a good icebreaker. You get to see where the other person's head's at. I think it's definitely like more of a strategic move. You want to play it kind of flirty and provocative, whatever. I get it. For a woman with short white hair to say guess is a little outrageous. I just could not believe that. And so he just went rapid fire through all the names. And then eventually it comes out like her friend spoils it or rats her out, leaks the name. And so that was like kind of his go-to throughout the night. He had his go-to. Towards the end of the show, though, he started doing crowd work with another woman who I couldn't see. She was behind us, but apparently was getting upset at his jokes about Trump. And so when he looks pissed and gets pissed, he looks pissed, Adam Ray. And I just remember him like kind of really laser focus honing in on this woman. Like no one else was in the room for him. He was just like, I'm going to like really annihilate this woman because I guess she was being a little obnoxious. And so that kind of didn't completely derail the show, but there was a lot of nervous energy surrounding that for me, at least. It was just like, can we just go back to jokes? But so I'd say I did kind of a crash course in Adam Ray before the show. Watched, I think he has 2 or 3 stand-up specials on YouTube. So I watched those. And I'd say of his material for this outing appearance, I want to say it was 60-40, 60 new, 40 old, but it was probably closer to 70-30 or 80-20, I would guess. He has a pretty good Trump impression. I'm not one for too much political humor, but like I think he nailed Trump, he nailed Biden. But what is most impressive about Adam Ray is that he is able to do this crowd work throughout the show and then wrap up the show doing, I think, like a song about all the people that he's learned about in the crowd. It's really one of the more impressive things that he does. I mean, he's just a very impressive individual overall. I mean, if you ever watch him on any of the socials, like TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, he posts these, short vertical videos where he plays different characters. One of the characters that gets me every time that I don't know how he does it. These are like 1 minute long videos, and he's able to put a filter on his face to make it look all distorted, almost look like when in The Mask, when it comes off of Jim Carrey and it goes on the goon, the hooligan, who I thought was, but probably isn't, the Latimer from the program, who is also the mayor's son in Batman Returns. I don't think they're the same, but they look very similar. But that's the look, the filter that Adam uses to make his look like huge jawline, big pointy cheekbones, and like really glassy eyes. And that might not be the filter, glassy eyes. I don't know. But those videos always crack me up. They're always so good. But he's able to speak. Eliza Schlesinger too, I've always been impressed with when I watch her stand-up specials. Like her ability, like if you were to do a word count for her stand-up specials, like each one is like about an hour, the amount of words that she's able to cram in and say with never tripping up, never stumbling, never fumbling is quite the feat. I have failed miserably in that arena. And that metric in that category. And I would say that these videos that Adam puts up are like on par with that. Like just zero pauses or breaks. Just, it's almost like one one long run-on sentence, and the amount of detail and absurdity that he gives to that minute-long video is, it's either he must do 1,000 takes or he's just a goddamn savant or he has a teleprompter. I don't know. Because the kind of shit that he says on these videos, outstanding. I want to give him awards. Is there an award for that? He deserves it. So that was Adam Ray. Pretty good show, pretty good time. And it got over probably around 11 or so. And that was that. Next day, walk to brunch. Got brunch at Cafe Lift. Apparently a new location, has a second floor. There was still a wait, half an hour wait. It was okay. I ended up getting the breakfast burrito. I mean, what did you expect? I know it's predictable, very predictable. And I'm fairly confident that's why I don't fascinate anyone. Like I signed up for the free trial of Blinkist, and there was like a series. They have guides and collections, and one was like how to flirt like a pro. And I'm like, yeah, sure, let's give that a listen. And there were like 7 triggers for fascination. And I looked at all 7 and I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, yeah, this would make a lot of sense for why I'm not clicking with people. Like prestige, power, mystery. Like, it's just stuff that's just like, I haven't done any of that stuff. And it sounds hard. So pass. So yeah, breakfast burrito. One of the best breakfast burritos I've ever had. And I've had a shit ton of breakfast burritos. So that means something, man. I want to say top 3, maybe top 2, maybe the best. My recollection is gone, terminated, but scrambled eggs, roasted peppers, mushrooms, sweet onions, refried black beans, Chihuahua cheese. I did not see that. What is that? Because do Chihuahuas produce milk? Are they like goats? Rolled in a flour tortilla, topped with salsa matcha and an Italian long hot pepper. I thought that was a nice little touch. Had a nice little black coffee. And it's BYOB, so we brought mezcal. And we mixed it with grapefruit juice, which I believe is a paloma. Or a mezcal paloma. Or something like that. And I could that was like so refreshing. Like, do I put it over a Bloody Mary? Whew, that's tough. Blomos are my jam. And so, but this is a very close second, and has the, with, consistency, getting in the gym, working out every day, it could take the number 1 spot. So that was the trip to Philly, Oktoberfest. And I gotta say, it pains me to say this, I've now hung out. I haven't explored a lot of Philadelphia, but I feel like I've hung out outside in Philly a handful of times now. Maybe less, a little bit less. It just seems a little bit, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I've enjoyed it. And I know it hurts me to say that as being a Giants and Mets fan, Devils fan, like really every single possible Philly sports team is our arch rival enemy, our greatest foe. And so to admit that, and to also have Always Sunny in Philadelphia as like one of my favorite TV shows, it's like, what's going on here? Sometimes not for very long, but I thought like, what if I were just the Eagles, Phillies, Flyers fan, Sixers fan, meaning I'm not going to convert if that's the worry there. But I'm saying if, magically we had stayed in the like LBI area, like I have pictures of my father wearing like Phillies gear, and he went to the Eagles Super Bowl. That was when I was like 1 or 2 years old, but it's like maybe if we stay in the LBI area near where I was born, and like we don't move to the Mercer County area, what is that? Was that my future? Was that the life I would have had? Would I have had a happier life? Maybe. Because it's just the Philly sports fans, I think there's a lot of people that would say that they're scumbags, whatever, but they're also, some of them are also very funny. A lot of my friends are Philly fans, Philly sports fans, and they're just outlook, their attitude, their approach, and the humor that they have is outstanding. The fervor, the enthusiasm. And that's why, the bank, the ballpark, the baseball ballpark, for where the Phillies play is like so electric. It's why the link is so electric. And, we haven't had a lot of that of recent years for my teams, I mean, yeah, the World Series at Citi Field, pretty cool, standing room only. And then I'm trying to think of the last Giants game I went to where it was full throat. Well, I guess I haven't been to a ton of late. I think the last one I went to was 2016. God, it's 7 years ago. Really? Because no one was allowed in 2020. I didn't go in 2021. Didn't go 2022, 2019, didn't go 2018, didn't go 2017, didn't go. Yeah, 2016 would be the last year. Wow, it's been 7 years. Holy shit. I got to fix that. And maybe me going to the game will turn things around. That's all I'm saying. But yeah. Philadelphia, I mean, I'm sure, not every city is great. Every city has its flaws. I mean, SEPTA is a goddamn nightmare. In terms of like logistics, not so much in like the cars or the ride or anything like that. I mean, the New York City subway system, I can't pull up the text from my mom, but it's every time I ride the subway, there is a threat, an imminent threat on that car, in the car I'm in. The last week there was a dude who was just kind of, you could see he went from like talking loudly to kind of yelling and like raising his volume a little bit too much. And everyone's kind of is on high alert. And then saying, I got in a fight or something. I had brain surgery. They removed part of my brain. And so I'm like, my stop cannot get here soon enough, but it also, should I be like, what's the male version of a Karen? Kelvin. Like, do I want to be that guy? Like when it's clear he's probably mentally unstable, but at the same time, I don't know. It's just there's something every day on the friggin' subway that's just like, holy fuck, dude. Can we not do this today, please? Can we call timeout? So yeah, Philly, it's growing on me as a city. Just seems like it's not overly crowded like New York. I go into work and I walk through a cloud of piss and weed every day going into work. And, the subways are crowded with sane and the insane criminally. And then, I'm only like out on the sidewalk of the street of Manhattan for less than a second because it's literally come out of the subway and go right into the tower where I work. So, but of course my mom sends a text like, hey, I know you're headed into the city tomorrow. I just wanted to give you a fair warning to put your head on a swivel because there's been extreme Islamic messaging that has been some chatter about extreme Islamic actions happening in New York City. I'm just like, I don't think that me having my head on a swivel is really going to do anything. If you're talking about extreme Islamists or whatever, ISIS, like I'm not keeping my head, like I'm not going to keep my head, period, because they're going to take it in a very tastefully done video on YouTube. But so, yeah, my mom, I love her. Her birthday's coming up. She's going to be 75 years old. God bless her. But two things that drive me up a wall are just like rapid fire questions, one after the other. And I have to somehow try and answer them in order. So thank God iPhone has like a reply function where you can just reply to each one. Because before I was just giving answers in the order, like in 1 or 2 or 3 texts. And she'd be like, what? And I'm like, do you know what the questions the dozen questions you just fired at me? I'm trying to answer them all. So yeah, Philly growing on me, just seems like maybe there's a different kind of vibe. I don't know. Maybe that's I remember going to Brooklyn and somewhat enjoying Brooklyn. I don't know that I would necessarily really fit in there, or I might just go completely over the edge and really get Brooklyn-y, which is very easy to happen for me. It's just like you get caught up in some kind of craze, yeah, I would get swept under the surface pretty easy. So maybe, but I don't know if it was all, I mean, the weather was also awesome, and you couldn't have asked for a better outing. So, but Philadelphia, dude, you get to know your enemy, and all of a sudden, no. But yeah, so that was the trip to Philly. The trip back sucked. I thought I was saving time and cutting corners, and had a cheat code, a big old life hack, and it took me 3+ hours to get home around that time. I left at 2:30, got home at like 5:30, right before halftime of the Giants-Cardinals game. So yeah, I got to figure that out. I got to time that better, because that is just awful. I was in a train station. There was not a single, this is on Sunday afternoon. Now I get it. The Eagles are playing. The Eagles fans are everywhere, dude. I live in, the Mercer County. And, I talked about my high school last week because I had the 25-year high school reunion. And I don't remember it being this dominated by Eagles merch, billboards, jerseys. Like, it is there. You don't see anything Giants, hardly anything Giants anywhere. I mean, granted, merch not exactly flying off the shelves right now. I get it. So you probably want to lean into the Super Bowl losing Philadelphia Eagles, because at least they're winning more than us and have been way more successful of late, past decade. So I get it from a business standpoint, but man, it is everywhere. I was not expecting that moving back here, because I always thought it was 50-50. In fact, I think there's some kind of mini documentary or special aired somewhere about like the most split down the middle 50-50 kind of town when it comes to Eagles and Giants fans. And I thought it was in Mercer County, but if it's not Mercer County, it's damn close. That's what I thought when I was in high school, and then shit done changed. Everyone's a fucking Eagles fan now. And good for them. We'll see what happens. Okay. Down the road, just see what happens. Oh man, that got off on a really big tangent there, huh? The following weekend, I had my daughter went to her friend's birthday party at Bounce U, my favorite indoor bouncy house place. And I got to talking to one of the other parents who is in the know. Like I've said it often that I am the very last grape on the vine. This one's the first. She's the plucker of the grapes, pretty much. Just very connected, has the inside scoop on stuff. And so, I had mentioned that this school that my daughter's going to struck a deal with a before school and after school care program, like weeks before, maybe not even weeks, a week before the school year was supposed to start. And then probably a week or two into it, I get an email saying they've terminated the contract of the before and after school care program. And, we were so happy to find it, because it was like they close at 6. They have good hours. They're open about an hour earlier than the school technically opens. And they have this, like, I showed you the cool one sheet with like, it's glossy and it's got like, look at all these activities, enrichment and all that jazz. And then, no, we're terminating the contract with them, like not even 2 weeks into the school year. And so I was talking to this parent, and I was like, yeah, I cannot believe that happened already. We were so worried about finding after school or before school care. And we found it, and it was affordable, which was great. And now it seems like it's going out the window, and there's no real plan. Like they said that they have a bunch of parents forming a committee, which always goes so well. And when you have a committee, always works to the benefit of the public. But so I told her like, we're pretty bummed about it. And she's like, yeah, well, you want to know why? And I was like, yeah, I do want to know why. And so she goes, well, another parent told me, and there's been reports that one of the employees said to a group of kids, hey, you kids better behave or I'm going back to jail. Now, who knows if that's true or not? And there's a couple ways to read that, right? We weren't there when the dude said it. Maybe he said it with a chuckle, a laugh. It was a joke that no one got except me. It could be a threat. Like, if you don't behave, I'm going to murder all of you and then go. And that's why I'm going to go back to jail. Or there's some kind of parole situation where if he gets written up or something bad happens, a demerit, by his boss, then like he would have to go back to jail. He'd violate his probation rules. So, not exactly what you want to hear. Taking care of your daughter, your precious, your one and only. That's tough to swallow. So, and there's still no update on like, when is this going to end? When does the program end? What are the other options? It's just like, we're just kind of up in the air at this point. So that's fun. Following day, we went to SkyZone. My daughter and I went to SkyZone, which is an indoor trampoline park that also has an arcade, not too far away. I try to do as much research as I possibly can. Some would say way too much research, and I would agree. And so I did way too much research on because I've gone to SkyZone as part of a birthday party where everything's pretty much taken care of. Like I don't have to do shit except bring a gift. So this is my first time going there where I was running the show and like I had to know what the hell's going on and how to operate. And so I'm reading the FAQ. I'm like, I put on a rubber glove and I went into the anal cavity of that friggin' SkyZone website and I explored every crevice and nook and cranny, just trying to be as fully prepared as possible. Because if you fail to prepare, you're prepared to fail. I think I did that wrong. So I was like, all right, I'm going to buy 2 passes. I buy 2 passes online because I'm like, there's no way that I can just buy a pass for her and walk in scot-free. Like that doesn't seem like a good system. So I buy the 2 passes and then I get there and I see like there are these bracelets that you have to wear. And one of the bracelets is kind of blank, doesn't say anything. And the other bracelet says observer, which I feel like they could have come up with a better classification label for that instead of observer, because that just I don't know, gives me like creepy vibes a little bit, just a tiny bit. They get a little creepy vibes with observer. Oh, hey, what are you doing? I'm observing. So like watcher is not much better. I think watcher is probably not the way to go either. Supervisor is a very long word. Onlooker, not so bad, but then it's like, what are you peeping, dude? You peeping, Dom? What are you looking at? So yeah, I don't know how you go about it, but I noticed that and I was like, how much is an observer ticket? And she's like, oh, it's free. You can you don't even like, but if you're caught jumping or participating in any of the activities, they will take you aside, bring you to the desk and you'll have to pay. And I was like, you do not have to worry about that. I am not participating in any of this stuff going on in here, despite my daughter's best attempts. So so I'm like, oh, and so I like get the tickets, I put on her bracelets and I walk over and I'm like, wait a second. I'm not going to be doing any of this stuff with her. There's a part of me thought a small chance was like, maybe, if she asked me, I'll jump on the trampoline with her. But I was like, no, there's plenty of other people here. So I took her back to the front desk. We get a refund. I was like, hey, bought it. Remember me? Yeah, I'm the idiot who bought it online. And part of me, uptight white dude, part of me was like, I need to tell them to put that on their website. That should be on your website. That should be on your website. Oh boy, gross. I'm so disgusted by myself a lot of the time. 90% of the time. It's just disgust and shame. Gross. So I ended up getting a refund. The $32. Every dollar fucking counts, dude. Every dollar counts. That's a lottery ticket. That's my ticket to paradise. So got the refund and then went back and enjoyed ourselves. Then she jumped and played on that huge like American Ninja Warrior Challenge Junior Tykes thing. It's like an obstacle course type of situation. Played on that for a long time. Jumping off like an inflatable staircase into a bunch of Nerf blocks. There was a climbing wall, which I wanted her to do, but she's not into it. I saw a kid climb that wall in like 0.2 seconds. And I was thinking to myself, I might get stuck on that fucking wall if I try it. Like, I don't even know if I get past the first couple pegs. So So yeah, SkyZone's a good time. After about an hour of, physical activity, she's like, I want to play the arcade games. And I'm like, all right, we'll do this. I allotted 2 hours for this whole extravaganza. So I forgot my card, of course, that has all this money on it that I put on it last time we were at SkyZone. So I end up having to buy a new one, put $20 on it. And she's into that motorcycle racing game. I think I mentioned this before when she was at Giggleberry Fair. I'm like, you're gonna want a motorcycle, aren't you, when you're older? Oh, the kind of dudes that you're gonna roll with. Oh boy. But then there's these two Asian kids. And I only say that because every story needs detail. It's not like that. The fact that they're Asian really doesn't play any part in this. I guess, maybe you be the judge. So these two Asian kids, one boy, one girl. The boy appears to be bigger, so I assume he's older than the smaller girl. They come up to me repeatedly. So the first time they come up to me and they're like, "Hey, can we swipe your card? We want to do this game. Can you swipe this card for us? Can you pay for this?" And I was like, "No." Well, no, like I just no. And then I'm looking around like, what is going on here? Where's the guardian, the legal guardian? Where is the guardian? So then we walk away, we go over to where there's the claw, and of course Bree picks out a little gorilla that she did not want. And I was like, well, then you shouldn't, you probably should have not. And the two kids come up to me again. Hey, can you pay for us to get something? Can you buy us a game? Can you swipe your card for us? And I was just like, no. I walk away and I forget what other game, or it might have been the Jurassic Park shoot 'em up game. They come over again. Hey, can you buy us this game? Can you swipe your card for us? And I'm just thinking, man, it's like bartenders don't refuse to serve me because of some kind of stench and stink, like some kind of vibe I'm giving. The lady at Oktoberfest picked up my vibe and was like, this guy is a fucking pussy. I'm just going to bulldoze him and get him to buy way more tokens than he needs. Tokens. Oh boy, the Philly, it's infecting me like a virus. And these kids must have smelled something on me too. Blood in the water. They're like, if we just ask him enough times, I'm pretty sure he'll just cave in. He's a pushover. So I just kept asking, and I just said, where are your parents? And they're just like, they had no answer for it. They had no answer. And lo and behold, it was like they were with, I think, their mother and their grandmother, and English was not a first language for these ladies. So the immigrant experiments catch the fever. I know that might come across a certain way, but it's just like, it's not just these two kids. We went to a playground on Sunday where it was like, there are kids of varying ages. Bria is now 5, a young 5. There were other kids that were younger than her for sure on this playground, giant playground. Some older kids, probably 11, 12. I hope to God not 13. And the one kid is dropping F-bombs left and right. That I'm the only adult. There was one other adult when we first got to this playground. She bailed. I have no idea where she went. Didn't take a kid with her. And so now I'm the only adult at this playground watching this group of kids. And I was just like, how is this possible? How is there no other parental supervision going on here? I know I sound like a lame ass. I get it. I sound horrific right now. But at the same time, honestly, for real talk, where the hell are the parents? Where the hell is the adult supervision? This one kid's dropping F-bombs left and right. This other kid got called a bitch. They're talking about balls and the one kid can't stop saying bro, which I know is not grounds for dismissal, but like mix it up, guy. There's another kid who's throwing his shoes, kicking soccer balls at people. There's another kid who, there was like borderline 2 or 3 fights that almost broke out. The one older kid decides there's a steeple or a roof on the playground, like slanted roof type situation. the steeple, I guess you'd call it. This guy climbs on top of the steeple, is just standing on it like he's a golden god. And I'm just sitting here going, if this kid falls, it was like a Curb Your Enthusiasm. I pictured a Curb Your Enthusiasm Larry David moment where it's like this kid falls, breaks his neck. I'm standing there and I'm like, because I'm the only adult, I guess I have to attend to this now. And then all the other adults come running over and they're like, what did you do? Why didn't you? And I'd be like, well, he climbed on top of the steeple roof there. And they'd be like, why didn't you stop him? I'm like, I'm not the fucking dad, dude. Like, what? That's what I pictured the whole time this is going on. It's just like, somehow I'm going to get in trouble. Somehow I'm going to be at fault for all this bullshit. Like, I'm now responsible for these a dozen or more rogue nomad kids. Cool. And that was the vibe I was getting from these two kids at SkyZone at the arcade. I was just like, where the hell is your mom? And the mom and the grandma that just looked like they didn't know where they were. And for sure didn't know arcade etiquette, dude. I mean, I know it sounds awful. It is awful. I am awful. So one little anecdote that I gotta tell you. You know, we talk about female empowerment. The future is female, right? Great. I'm all down for it. I didn't have a preference for one gender or the other. You know, when we had our gender reveal, when I was a girl, I think I might have been leaning towards a girl first, boy second. That boy will never be coming. But I thought, oh, well, the older girl will guide the younger brother and make him be a respectful ladies' man. Something to that effect. Not that that's happened so far with my niece and nephew. My niece is older than my nephews. The nephews are just hog wild all the time. So I don't know. But at the time I was like, yeah, for sure. I know the secret sauce of this whole shit. It's girl first, boy second. So you know, I was happy when I found out our kid was going to be a daughter, was going to be a girl. And so, you know, I'm trying to, you know, she keeps pointing to like pictures of girls with short hair and saying that's a boy, or boys with long hair and saying it's a girl. And I'm saying, no. And I think we figured that out. Like, you know, anyone can have any length hair. Doesn't mean anything, really. So what is interesting is I'm trying to figure out what her goals are. I mean, that's a stupid thing to say. Goals. She's 5. Oh my God. But her interests, like where do I see her? Like, is she looking at something and saying, I want to be that? Like that. Oh, that's cool. I like that. And like, I'm trying to like pay specific attention to what she's interested in, what she likes, what she doesn't like, so I can help guide her in that direction so she can actually get a job that she likes and doesn't live to work. She doesn't work to live. She lives to work. I don't know. I just want her to end up liking what she does, because I know that was such a fucking long road to hoe for me. It's such a long journey, which I did a whole episode on if you want to care to look through the archives. So that's a long preamble intro to this. We're reading a book about Barbie, and this specific book was about Barbie running for class president, right? And she ran against another woman for class president. Roxanne was her name. Anyway, it goes through that whole thing, and Barbie has a dog this whole time, right? And in each page, the dog is on the page with Barbie. Barbie wins, spoiler alert, Barbie wins the vote. She's now the class president. For whatever reason, she gets to meet the United States president, the president of the United States of America. She gets to meet her. So the president is also a woman. And so there's a lot of messaging going on here. It's like, hey, you can do anything you want. You're a woman. You're strong. Nothing can hold you back. Blah, blah, blah. Right? All good stuff. All that's going on. We get to the end of the book, and it's Barbie as class president with a female president of the United States. And Barbie's holding her dog. And I'm like, wow, this book was, what do you think? And she goes, I want to be the dog. I want to be the dog. Like, what? we read this book, and that's what you come away with? I want to be the dog? So if there's no dog, what is your takeaway from this book? It's like a story about female empowerment, all that good stuff. I want to be the dog. You know what? I'm not ruling it out. Who knows? Just not until you're 18, okay? Then we'll do the species reassignment surgery. I feel for her, though. She came down, my daughter, not in my custody. This is the weekend I didn't have her, but her mother's birthday weekend. Apparently, Bree came down with a very sensitive medical condition for her downstairs lady parts that you would usually get from acts that I will not say out loud because we're also talking about my daughter. So, trying to, but usually associated with certain acts, ACTS acts, not acts like deodorant spray. And so it requires ointment and liquid medicine that tastes apparently like butthole. So I've been told by my daughter. She didn't say those words, but not a fan. So I don't think we've necessarily trusted her with the ointment. And so that means one of us has to apply it. And so applying ointment to the nether regions of my daughter. Oh boy. That was an experience. Because it's like, all I'm thinking, every day, all I think is like, okay, this is going to be the thing that she is scarred for life about. This is going to be the memory that is like emblazoned in her cerebellum. Like this is the imprint that's this is not going away. This is a tattoo on the old medulla oblongata. So me applying ointment, I'm thinking like, is she gonna now, is she gonna be into like, what are they called? Trouts, sugar daddies when she grows up? Like, is she like much older men? Is this like, what fetish am I giving her right now by just applying ointment? And I wasn't even entirely sure. I'm like, I think we're just going to go on the outside. We're not going to, let's just stay outside. And the liquid medicine, she took it like a champion, knocked it back, no problem the first night. And the next morning was like bottom 5 moment for me, for sure, trying to get her to take that liquid medicine and her just being like in tears. And it was I felt like completely shit about that, but it's like, do you want to feel better or not? And then I finally came up with the ingenious idea to just put the strawberry flavored liquid medicine in her strawberry yogurt. I'm like, bing, bang, boom, problem solved, dad of the year. So I do that. And she immediately, I don't tell her because I'm like, let's just see if she notices first before we go ahead and do the big reveal. So I do it. And I hand it to her. I'm like, there you go. Drink your yogurt smoothie type thing. Drink your yogurt. She's like, I smell medicine. And then she takes a little sip. She's like, I taste medicine. And I was just like, all right, time for me to come clean. Yes, I thought it'd be easier for you to take if I, so she caught me red-handed. And so I had to fess up. And I was like, yeah, this is the story. This is how we're going to have to get it done. Because if you don't take this, like it's going to get worse. You're not going to get better. It's always going to hurt when you pee, that kind of thing. So eventually she came around to it and, it didn't become so much of an issue, but I like how we do that a couple days in a row, 3 or 4 days in a row until she finally says, I don't like strawberry. I'm like, this is a recent development. You, as of just now, you're no longer a fan of strawberry. She's like, no, I never liked strawberry. And I'm like, why haven't you said this before? We've been giving you strawberries for lunch. We've been giving you strawberry yogurt. Like never would you come to us and just like, and so it's like, I think she's a lot like her mom in that way, where I used to cook most of the time and I'm a horrible cook. Like I can't cook shit to save my life. And so I would always, cook it and then hand it over and like, like one does after you cook something for someone, you're like lean forward and you're like, you're hanging on every reaction, facial twitch, noise. Like you just want to know if the person likes it or not. And my ex-wife was just the queen of like being polite and not telling the truth. If it hurts, if the truth hurts, she's not telling it. So just like not telling me, no, this is garbage. It's shitty. It's awful, which I would have appreciated a lot more. And then either like not telling the truth in that way because she doesn't want to hurt feelings, or just not saying anything at all. And then eventually later down the road being like, oh yeah, I don't like this. And I'm like, well, this has been going on for months, dude. Like, why didn't you just speak up? So in a way, it's like, it's nice and polite, but I would rather her just speak up and speak out. Use your voice. So, but things are on the up and up with that condition. I think it's pretty much donezo by now, but it's just like, how the heck did she get that? Like, I'm reading possible causes on the internet, which do not recommend. And it's like, you know, I don't even know. I don't think my daughter knows how to do that. You start to wonder what happened when she was in the other parent's custody. You know, start to wonder. Oh boy. So we went to this past Friday. We went to Nino's Pizza Star, nice little pizza joint in the shopping center by her school, where there's a bunch of other stuff. It's like a Rita's water ice or something like that. So I ended up ordering the double steak with cheese, and this thing was massive. So much steak, overfloweth with steaks. And Bree is looking at me. She doesn't pay too much attention. So when she does like clock in, it's kind of like, where have you been for the past 30 minutes? So I'm eating the double steak with cheese, and she goes, why did you take that out? And she points to the meat. And I go, no. They gave me so much it fell out. And she was just like, oh. The look of shock, awe, and surprise that came over her face was priceless. It was really good. Peppers, onions, cheese, the whole nine. It gave me horrendous, borderline life-ending heartburn. Like, I let Bree sleep in my bed that night, and like I had to get up. I got up at 4 a.m. because my heart was like knocking at my mouth's door. Like, hey, can you just give us some air here? I mean, volcanic level activity down below, and so I had to like chug half a bottle of Pepto-Bismol. My daughter had a slice of cheese pizza that got cut in two. Overall, I guess a decent experience. Although I got in my own head about, like, I ordered and he was like, to stay or to go? And I said, to stay. And then he didn't ring me up right away. And so I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, it's all, for whatever reason, it's the only thing on my mind. It's just like, when do I pay? Should I pay now? So does he think that I'm going to like dine and dash? Does he think like I'm like, this is what I do? I just go from eatery to eatery with a small girl who may not be mine. I don't see a wedding ring, who then preys on you, on your generosity, your grace, your mercy, leans on that just so he can dine and dash. Like that. It snowballed, as it always does, into some weird scenario that is just totally not happening. So, ended up paying, but it was just like, it was, why can't I just enjoy it? Why can't you just enjoy it? We went to Rita's Ice afterwards, Rita's water ice. I don't know. She loves to get the blue raspberry and what she calls blue ice, which I think is a lot cooler name for it. Blue ice. And they were out of it, which was a bummer. And I could see she was, not happy about it. But they had this unicorn glitter ice cream. It's like essentially just vanilla ice cream with like fine sprinkles, but it looks like glitter, edible glitter, I guess. And then I got the peanut butter cup mudslide concrete, which is essentially, I don't know what came first, but it seems like it's a version of the Dairy Queen Blizzard. And so we get our ice cream, and she's happy. It's in a wafer cone, and I'm like, you gotta eat fast, not too fast. You don't want to get brain freeze, but just make sure you lick so it doesn't spill everywhere. She's like, I got it, and she was doing an amazing job. I also think that ice does not, like the McDonald's ice cream melts almost instantaneously. It's like the moment you touch it, it turns to a pool. So I think the fact that this ice cream is a little more solid was very helpful. But what she likes to do is we go to this water fountain. It's a very small water fountain. It's not like the one by the university, which is huge, and you can swim in it apparently. This one's a lot smaller. It's circular. There's a ledge, but it's kind of elevated a little bit off the ground. I want to say like 2-3 feet off the ground, probably closer to 3 feet off the ground. And so what she likes to do is she likes to walk around it. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Just, walk around it. That's cool with me. And I don't know what it was, but it was like a combination of the weather being awesome. And like, it's not night yet, but it's not quite day. It's like, sunset. And I was just like, and we were pretty much almost the only people in that whole quad area that's there. And I don't know. I got lost in like the sauce, I guess. I was just like I was so happy eating my ice cream, even though I like can't fully enjoy it because I know it's like, calories, sugar, all that carbs, all that crap, which is very easy to handle if you just work out, Neal. Okay. So I just got lost and thought a little bit. And that's all it takes. It just takes a second to take your eyes off what's going on. And next thing I know, I'm looking over and she is got tears in her eyes. She's coming up off the ground. She's picking herself off the ground. She's got tears in her eyes. And then you start to wail. And I'm like, shit. She like legitimately must have not looked where she was going and just walked directly off the ledge and fell on the ground. Ice cream, spilled, is on the ground. And so, I console her, I get down on her knee, I hug her. I say, it's going to be okay. You're going to be all right. Da, da, da. And so she starts to calm down, settle down. And I look over at the wafer cone and I'm like, that kind of looks salvageable. I don't think that ever touched the ground. So I'm like, here, hold this. Or like, or maybe she still had it in her hand. I don't know. But so I grab the wafer cone and I'm looking at the ice cream is not kind of like splattered everywhere. It just fell in one big lump. And I'm like, oh, this might actually, I might be able to save the day here. I think I can save this. And I'm like, hey, do you want me to, I think you can still eat this. We'll just pick it up where it's not touching the ground. We'll just scoop it so that we get the part that's not touching the ground. She's like, no. And I'm like, are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure. And I'm thinking to myself, my 5-year-old is smarter than me. Like she just is, or less of a psycho. I don't know. The fact that I was like, I just didn't want to waste the food. And I also wanted her, because she had a bunch of ice cream left. So I'm like, I don't want to waste this. We got to make sure that we can, and I'm pretty sure I could have saved it. And I kind of did. I just wanted to see if I could do it. And I kind of scooped and used my hand. And I was like, that's like pretty much a solid. If you finish that, you're going to feel good about what you ate. But she put the kibosh on it. I was like, wait, am I the parent or are you the parent? It's so ridiculous. So I'm a cheap fuck. I mean, I don't know what you tell me. Yet somehow over budget every friggin' month. She also had a meltdown using the tracing pad. There was a tracing pad that I got her for her birthday, which I mean, it looks like an Etch-a-Sketch, but then you turn it on and a light shines. And so you lay down these papers that have drawings on them. And then you're supposed to lay down another blank sheet and you draw, and you can then see the sheet underneath it where you need to draw, and then you trace. So she was doing that for a long time and doing really well with the tracing, I thought, and producing some really high quality type illustrations. And but the littlest thing, if it was off by just a little bit, like not quite on the line, just outside the line, just inside the line, a bump, a hitch, a glitch, whatever, just small stuff that you wouldn't think that a 5-year-old would really notice that much. I mean, given what I've seen from a lot of 5-year-olds over the years, it's like you could do a lot worse. And she just broke down and cried in tears, so frustrated, so angry. And I'm like, and it feels in a way like I'm talking to myself a lot of the time. It's just like, I'm now saying to you what everyone says to me. This is banana land. But yeah, I was just like, everyone makes mistakes. I make mistakes. I mean, I only make mistakes. Your mother makes mistakes. Grandma makes mistakes. I went through the whole family roster there saying they all make mistakes. And I was like, your mother was a mistake. And oh boy. Yep. Okay. I mean, it wasn't planned, teenage sweethearts, one night thing type of thing, maybe. So I was just like, everyone makes mistakes. You don't need to get upset about it. You just keep trying, keep doing it, and you'll get better. And so I think it kind of stuck with her. She did get a little bit upset the next time. And then I think the time after that, she might have stopped, or she might have started to lose it again. I just took it away. I was like, all right, this is not worth it. We'll come back later, try it again next time. And then later in that day, we went to see Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie. So this is the first movie that I've taken my daughter to in a theater. She's 5, just turned 5. And so I was not too nervous, but a little nervous, because it's like I've never taken a child to a movie theater, as I just mentioned. So I'm not exactly sure. Like the last time I went to a children's movie in a movie theater, actually was Finding Dory. But I feel like Pixar, that comes with a more adult audience. Like I think there are more adults that are interested or would go. I'm obviously, was it not compensating? I'm making excuses. I'm trying to justify the fact that me and my then fiance went to see Finding Dory by ourselves, no kids. And my thought is Pixar attracts more adults that don't have kids than non-Pixar. Yeah. So I was like, is this going to be just an absolute shit show? I have not been to a kids movie with a lot of kids in like a lot of very small young kids in the audience since I was a kid. So I don't know what exactly to expect. Is it just going to be like a jungle gym? Is it just going to be, a bouncy house 24/7? Like what kind of environment can I expect? Is it just going to be kids talking the whole time, running around? And no, everyone really behaved themselves. It was like pretty impressive. I got her Twizzlers, which she ate the whole bag. Ooh, sorry about that. I got myself a giant bucket of popcorn. I ate all myself. She didn't. She got done with her Twizzlers, and then she looked in the bucket and she was like, "Where, Daddy? You ate it all?" I was like, "I'm so fat." But yeah, I think she's been to the movie theater before with her mom. This is the first time with me. I think she's been before with her mom. So I thought she kind of knew what to expect. And I guess maybe that didn't make me as nervous as I think she's been through this whole rigmarole before. But they of course they showed, we didn't get there too late. And so they showed so many trailers. And she's like, "What is this, a Paw Patrol movie?" And I'm like, "It's coming. You just got to wait. It's coming." And she's like, after every trailer, she's like, when is the Paw Patrol movie coming on? And I'm like, "It's coming. I promise you. This is not a sick prank where we're just going to show trailers for all other movies." And then I thought the movie was starting. Instead, it's like a Paw Patrol music video where they try to incorporate all the various rules and regulations and policies that the theater has, like no talking. And like, if you want to get your barks out now. It cute, but it like that could have been a lot quicker. I feel like that could be 30 seconds, my man. It doesn't need to be 3 minutes. Like why was it so long? Why was it a music video first that had to then go into why? The kids want the movie. Get them to the movie. And then I'm like, that ends. And I'm like, all right, here we go. And then it's a Dora the Explorer short. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, can you just play the Paw Patrol movie before my daughter loses it? But no, the Dora the Explorer short was not too bad. But I was also like, how long is this gonna be? Like, you're really playing with fire by delaying this as much as you have. The fact that it was legitimately, movie was supposed to start at 1:30. I think it started at 2:15. I could be wrong. 2 hours or 3. I don't know. It started way later than I would normally expect. I did fall asleep. I don't know. I think it was because I let her sleep in my bed the night before, and she like is either kicking me in the anus or in the weenus. And I think, even though I think I've slept through the night, I probably did not. I probably was not having a good full sleep. So definitely fell asleep. Those recliners are so nice. I need one. I want one. And I think I would be all right living in a movie theater. I honestly don't think I would become Howard Hughes that quickly. I don't know that it would pee in the jars year one. But I would love that. That's a weird fantasy dream to have, but yeah. I've not been keeping up with Paw Patrol, but they had a new villain. I think it's a new villain where her name's Vicky Vance. And the whole time she's just saying, don't call me a mad scientist. I'm not a mad scientist. And it's like, but everything you're doing is pointing to the fact that you are 1000% a mad scientist, which was, I guess, a running gag throughout the movie. She joins forces with Humdinger, who is always a laugh riot. Probably my favorite character. And then Mayor Goodway, who's like, if you watch the series, is almost in every goddamn episode. I've now seen 2 Paw Patrol movies, and she's in it for like 3 seconds in each movie. Kind of weird. The main, I guess other than Vicky Vance, the villain, who was kind of like meh. They basically had a huge setup for a very kind of weak payoff, where she, it's like as an adult, the whole expectation is, why is she a villain? She became a villain because XYZ, and XYZ is she was ridiculed, mocked, made fun of, that she couldn't become a scientist and couldn't become an award-winning scientist, and that kind of thing. And the payoff at the end, it was like, oh, you thought I was going to get all soft because you went through the same thing? Like, no. It's like, okay. I don't know. It didn't really click for me. Whereas Humdinger is just so goddamn funny. So in the first movie, the big storyline was Chase overcoming his fears, right? Because he grew up in Adventure City, and then some shit happened, and so he's now back in Adventure City, where he had this trauma, and he has to relive it, and so he becomes scared. He's no longer brave. And then the secondary storyline in the first movie is the new member, the dog Liberty, who's like Adventure City resident, who then befriends the Paw Patrol, helps them out, and then becomes a part of the crew, right? And so that was part of it. This one, the main storyline is Sky, the small female helicopter type flying dog pup. She feels small and weak and insignificant. And so she has a complex about it, insecurity about it, where she's constantly trying to prove herself that she's not. And so you get her whole backstory. And then Liberty is the secondary storyline again, where it's like so the meteor crashes, they get the meteor gives them crystals that have these special powers that unleash their special powers. And it works for all the dogs except her, Liberty. And so the majority, good portion of the movie is spent on her trying to figure out what her superpower is. I'm like, wow, this is the second movie in a row they've used Liberty as a secondary plot B storyline. Interesting. They really want this Liberty dog to they're really pushing Liberty on us. So I guess Brie liked it. I don't know. She was singing like a couple of the songs from the soundtrack, which are indeed catchy. So I think she dug it. So, touch and go. It's always it's never a dull moment with my daughter. So I'm very, very happy to have her in my life, and I'm trying my best not to fuck her up. Okay. So that's life. Let's talk Giants football. Heading into the Dolphins game, things were not looking good, and things were only made worse by Evan Neal and his comments about the Giants fan base. I'm not going to repeat it here, but apparently during the Seahawks game, late in the game, the fans were booing. He turned to the crowd and said, "Boo louder. Can't hear you. Boo louder." And then I guess in his comments Monday, Tuesday, maybe Monday night, he said that Giants fans are fair weather bandwagon fans. He's a lion. While a lion doesn't consider himself a sheep, he considers himself a lion. Interesting. Lots of great memes coming out of that. And then all because we boo. Saying that we're hamburger flippers and hot dog flippers. And so Don LaGreca went on an epic rant on that I feel the need to play. Epic rant on WFAN in response to Evan Neal's comments. I'm going to try and pull it up here. I don't know if it's going to work. Probs not. Oh, maybe. How does he not have it here? That's wild. So ridiculous. Okay. All right. Fair enough. I want to see if I can find it. It's a must listen if you haven't heard it yet. And I understand, like, you've probably heard it a million times, but it's still good. It's still so good. I don't have it here, do I? Well, screw you, Neal. Okay? It's a must listen. It's a must listen. I'm going to pull it up in 3, 2, 2.5, 1.5, 1 3/4, and almost there. No, definitely not. I can't find it. That fucking sucks. You know, you bookmark things. I think I just bookmarked too many things. That might be the problem, you know? Oh, here it is. All right. Hopefully you can hear this.
Sarcastically, he said he did not flip. Right tackle Evan Neal looked up towards the stands, raised his arms, and gestured sarcastically. He said he did not flip off fans, but he did yell a clear message to them. They are booing us, so I said, boo louder, Neal told NJ Advanced Media on Wednesday. Why would a lion concern himself with the opinion of a sheep? He added. The person that's commenting on my performance, what does he do? Flip hot dogs and hamburgers somewhere? Are you kidding me? I'd cut his ass. I would. How dare you? These people pay your salary. They pay an obnoxious amount of money to park, an obnoxious amount of money for PSLs to sit there and watch this pap, and you call them hamburger flippers? What, you're so much better? I'd rather have a guy that's flipping hamburgers block than your piece of garbage ass. Who the hell are you to talk to fans like that? You piece of garbage. I hate when players do that. You're not above us. What, because you happen to play a sport? You're better than me. You're better than the people that pay your salary. These Giant fans were here before you, and they'll be here after your sorry ass is cut. What a piece of human trash. And I don't want to hear some apology. I don't want to hear, oh, I was taken out of context. I didn't mean it. I don't want to hear, done. I would cut his fat ass. You see him in the Mall of Willowbrook, boo his ass. If you see him on the DMV, boo him. Don't stop booing him. If he goes to the Pro Bowl, boo him. If he wins a Super Bowl, boo his sorry ass. Screw that guy. We're not nobody. Flipping, how do you condescend to people that pay to watch you play? Poorly, I might add.
Whew. All time. One of the best ever. And, emotionally, I agree with a lot of what he said. There was a couple, towards the end, it got a little absurd. Like, if he goes to the Pro Bowl, boo his ass. If he goes to the Super Bowl, boo his ass. But, the wheels are coming off. And that's what happens when you lose, and you lose as badly as we have. But goddamn, I know as a young dude, I've done plenty of dumber stuff, and I'm twice as old. So, but you just got to be a little more self-aware, read the room a little bit better. I decided to take a look because, just last night I had a friend text me like, take it easy. You're not on the team. You got to put it in perspective. And I'm like, but that's not, I'm a fan. Like, I am a fanatic. That's what fan is short for. Fanatic. We're zealots. We live and die and, blood, sweat, and tears on this friggin' team, even though it does not matter at all. And goddamn, how I wish I could quit you, New York Giants. But the reason I haven't gone to a ton of games anymore is because, like, I just straight up can't afford a lot of the games. Like, even the cheap seats are still a hundo. And that doesn't include parking, concessions. And if you go with, like, that's just solo. Like, if I want to take my daughter, it's like $200 plus all the other stuff that comes with it. So I took a look at ticket prices. I tweeted this out. Imagine paying this absurd amount of money while earning what is the median or the average for New Jersey or New York, which I assume is in the $60K to $85K annual salary range, to watch your favorite team get steamrolled every week, then have your top 10 draft pick mock you. a coaches club PSL is $20,000. Season tickets $7,000. Lower level PSL $20,000. $2,000 for season tickets. Mezzanine level $4,000 for a PSL. $1,300 for the season tickets. Terrace level, minimum $950 for season tickets. It can be a lot, especially when you're over budget like I am. And to call out the fans that actually do show up.
Right tackle Evan Neal looked up towards the stands.
To shit on or talk shit about the people that actually paid to show up to watch you perform as poorly as you did. Ugh. So he apologized via a notes app, which is always so heartfelt and sincere. So I tweeted, I first tweeted, fans boo because we care. We're emotionally invested, and we were told that you specifically and the team would improve and take a big step forward, big leap forward every day for 7 months straight. So it's from February through August. It was Evan Neal has progressed. Evan Neal looks better. Evan Neal is going to take a leap in step year 2. He's going to be just like Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas struggled his rookie year. In year 2, blah, blah, blah. So that's all we were fed, spoon fed for 7 months straight. And not only you, but the team had improved. And I just showed you the stupid amount of money that people have to pay just to see you play in person. That doesn't count how much people are paying for jerseys, clothing, merch, all kinds of bullshit that's related to the Giants. I mean, even the simple fact that I legitimately pay for a Hulu Live subscription because of the Giants and Mets. Like if they didn't exist, I don't know if I'd have a Hulu Live subscription, which is a cool $90 a month. So it's like not a lot of money, but we're spending money. And we keep tuning in and we keep watching, we keep showing up, and we boo. In my mind, if I'm a player, and I don't know if players understand this, what would you rather have? A stadium that's kind of full, half full, that has people in it that are booing versus just an empty stadium? And my God, over the past decade, we have seen a lot of games where just fucking no one shows up. And if we're playing a team that does not have a very popular fan base, they don't show up. And that's when it's the worst. I mean, there were tons of games where in 2017, maybe 2018, where you had like the opposing team has a strong presence in the area and they would show up and show out and they'd be making more noise than the Giants fan base. But, it's hard to justify spending a lot of money when you know your team is going to get trounced every week. So it's better that they're still showing up and they're still booing versus, it's better than them showing up and not making a single sound. You don't find that a little eerie? And it's for sure better than just a straight up empty stadium. So what's wild is Justin Pugh. We signed Justin Pugh, and like on day 3, he's talking to the media, and he has been with it. Like I said, day 3 days with the friggin' team, and he has probably the quote of the year in terms of like quote that you would expect from a fucking leader on this team. We need the fans. We need the support. That's something I urge the fans to do, is just keep supporting us. We're going to continue to work hard. That felt more authentic and genuine. And maybe it's because he's just new to the team and doesn't know how bad it really is. And like once he gets down to the deep shit of the factory and he sees how the sausage is made, he's going to pull a 180 on that kind of approach. But it felt like he meant it. Whereas a lot of the and I don't watch a ton of the interviews because I feel like they're all go the same way. I honestly think Brian Daboll's head is going to explode like scanners in one of these press conferences, because he literally says almost the same answer to every question. And the New York media is relentless, and they pepper him with the same type of questions week in and week out. And he just says, and he just keeps, and they want him to slip up and they want him to make a mistake because it makes headlines and it gets to be great content that people click on. And so they want that, and they're baiting him and he's not taking the bait, but you can see he's like boiling inside. Like you can tell he's just so fucking pissed. And he just keeps giving the same answer. Yeah, just got to work harder. Yeah, just got to work hard. Yeah, we just got to improve and we got to work harder. Yeah, that's something we got to work on. Like, I suggest not watching that if you're a Giants fan. And I suggest not watching a lot of the interviews that you're getting, because you're starting to see and hear a lot of the players. Their frustration is coming through, and they're taking it out on the fans, on the media, and it feels like 2017 all over again. Ew. Evan Neal and Eric Flowers were both Giants top 10 draft picks. Here's a comparison with Pro Football Focus grades that suggested Eric Flowers, widely considered one of the biggest busts in Giants draft history, is outperforming Evan Neal at this early point in their careers. Oh, no. Year one of Eric Flowers, he had a 54.9 overall grade, 58.9 run blocking grade, 50.5 pass blocking, 5 sacks allowed, 17 hits allowed, 50 hurries allowed. Year one, Evan Neal was a 41.8 overall grade, 48.1 run blocking grade, 42.3 pass blocking grade, 8 sacks allowed, 10 hits allowed, 34 hurries allowed. So not as many hits and hurries, but 3 more sacks. In year two, now this is before the Dolphins game, Flowers had a 69.4 overall grade, 73.5 run blocking, 69.4 pass blocking, I believe that is, 5 sacks allowed, 9 hits, 47 hurries. Year two of Evan Neal, this is extrapolated over the full season, will have a 40.9 overall grade, 58.4 run blocking, 36.5 pass blocking, 6 sacks allowed, 17 hits, and 51 hurries. Yeah, at what point do you just say, all right, I think we gave this a fair shake? I forget when we moved on from Eric Flowers, because Flowers was what? 20. What year was he the pick? My God, I already forgot. Was he 2015 or 2014 or 2016? God damn, I completely blanked on that. 2015. By 2018, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, that he was still at the tackle position. He might have moved. I think that 2018 was when we signed friggin' Nate Solder. Oh my God. To a monster contract. So he played left tackle, and Eric Flowers moved to right tackle. And that didn't work out any better. So then we let him walk, and then he ends up with the Washington Commanders and moves to guard. And he's like, I mean, he's no longer in the league. He wasn't in the league last year, but I guess he did fairly well on Washington's team as a guard. So it's not looking great for Evan Neal. And all you have to do is your job, like it. You don't even have to win at this point. just do your job. Be better than you have, which is not asking a lot. You had to think that things were pointing in the wrong direction for us heading into this game big time. And, I don't know that there was any Giants fan who legitimately, realistically thought like maybe we could. I mean, yes, of course. There was a brief, flashing, fleeting moment where I was like, are we actually going to pull this out? But anyone who thought we were going to win and they got upset that we didn't, like, come on, let's reel it in a little bit. You're drifting a little too far off there into space. But Wink Martindale's cracking jokes about how he slept like a baby. Yeah, he was crying and needed to go to the bathroom, and then Thomas McGahee's whatever the special teams coach's name is, joking about it, getting his ass chewed out regularly by Dable. Like, isn't that funny? And then The Athletic publishes an article that is not solely focused on Daniel Jones. It basically said how the league has assessed the Giants and Jets quarterback situations so far. So I guess the reporter, he went out, might have been Dan Duggan. He asked a bunch of coaches, anonymous executives around the league, what do the Giants do with the quarterback situation? How would you assess what's going on? How would you analyze it? And likewise for the Jets. There was a stat nugget in there that we've averaged 3.5 net yards per pass attempt. Outrageous. It's the lowest combined figure for so that's Jets and Giants. Is it Jets and Giants? The lowest combined figure for these franchises through the first 4 games of an NFL season since at least 1982, which is a friggin' strike year. Coaches who have watched Jones this season do not see evidence the Giants have faith in their quarterback to operate more than a basic offense. They see a quarterback who limits the Giants' options. It's very noticeable how little they make him play like an NFL quarterback. He has the easiest reads and the easiest concepts, and still he does not throw the ball accurately. He doesn't throw the correct leverage, doesn't throw the receivers open, just doesn't do it. I'm giving you zero opinions. This is all the tape shows. He has not been accurate this year. I will give coaches that. There have been plenty of throws where he's missed this year that you would like to see him make in his now 6th year, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 5th year, excuse me. Completed swing pass to a wide open Barkley in the Arizona game where Barkley had to catch it between his ankles in the closing minutes. The pass to Paris Campbell late in the second quarter that prevented him from getting out of bounds. A huge play to Jalen Hyatt where Hyatt had to go up and snag it. Almost broken up because of a poor throw. Pick 6 against Seattle, where, they just sat on that route. There was no reason to throw it, and he did. Pick 6 against Dallas. Yeah. So it was incriminating. It was damning evidence that, and who knows? It's just, I don't know. There was a bunch of coaches. I think it was like one coach. So I'm not going to overreact to this. He's having a bad season, but luckily for us, it's not the end of the season. We've only been through 5 weeks, and yes, I thought the season was I'm still convinced 99% on the meter. I've been at 99% for the entire season that we're not going to sniff the playoffs based on what I've seen, but there have been a lot of contributing factors to it. So I wasn't surprised to read this, though. Passing production is down across the league. Teams are averaging 6.9 yards per attempt, the lowest through 4 weeks since 2009. The rate of passes gaining more than 14 yards, which is 14.2%, is the lowest through 4 weeks since 2003. The Giants expected better after ranking 29th in yards per attempt and 30th in explosive pass rate last season. Yeah, I think we all did, dude. So I don't think listen, it is worrisome. You can't help but worry when you see him making a lot of the mistakes that he's regressed. He's making a lot of the same mistakes he made in the first year or two of his career, even year 3. He cuts down on the turnovers, the interceptions, and the fumbles, but he's also not making the kind of explosive next level plays that he did in his rookie year, where he's like throwing the ball deep and letting it rip. So you'd like to see him kind of balance that out. Like, hey, let's get back to pulling the trigger on a lot of these deeper throws where the guy might not be totally open, but it's also not have these dumb turnovers. So let's talk about the Dolphins game. Heading into the game, we didn't have Saquon Barkley, and we didn't have Andrew Thomas. Shane Lemieux was out. John Michael Schmitz was out. Micah McFadden, our leading tackler, is out. And one of our hopefully late round draft gems, Jordan Riley, was out. We ran 68 offensive plays to Miami's 54. We owned the ball for 12 more minutes. 35 minutes to their 24. But we only averaged 3.9 yards per play, while Miami averaged 9.7 yards. And we were outgained 524 to 268. Offensively, this was the 5th starting offensive line combination in 5 games. That can't be good. Long gone are the days that we could line up 5 dudes and we can expect them to play pretty much the entire season with that alignment, with those dudes in those positions. It feels like we have not had that. I can't even tell you how long it's been since we've had 5 guys start on the offensive line for more than 3 weeks in a row. So yeah, when you have that much volatility, turmoil on your offensive line, which is supposed to be secure, stable, right, strong, you're going to have issues and problems. You're going to have miscommunication. I mean, we called up 2 guys from the fucking practice squad on the offensive line for this game, and they both saw time. That's how bad it got. Like, no word on what happened to Ben Bredesen. All I know is he is just covered in blood. His face is covered in blood, and he like goes in the tent. And these broadcasters were the worst, by the way. Vilma is the worst, and Albert's the worst. I don't know. Is it Albert? Maybe. Just like literally, you're watching the screen, and that's all they had to do. It's a throw to Darius Slayton. He gets a little nicked up on the play. He's taking a while to get up, and they go, someone's down. And it's like, I can understand that if the dude was far away from the play, wasn't on camera when all this happened. It's the guy who caught the fucking ball. Anyway, I can't stand. Like they just were not giving us updates on anything at all. So it's just like, is Brederson back in the game? What's wrong with Brederson? Like, you just weren't getting any updates or whatever. So it's like, you might as well watch on mute. We have not scored an offensive touchdown for the 3rd time in 5 games. That's nuts. I feel like that's never happened to start a season. I could be wrong, but it feels like a very long time since it's happened. Maybe 2013. Seattle Seahawks have allowed the 6th most points in the NFL going into that game that we had against them. The Dolphins allowed the 5th most points in the NFL going into this week. And we scored 0 touchdowns offensively. 0 touchdowns now through 8 quarters against bottom 6 defenses. Not great. We haven't scored an offensive touchdown in 145 minutes. It's almost 2.5 games. Daniel Jones was pressured on 44% of dropbacks on Sunday and has been pressured 81 times this season, 3rd most by any player through 5 games since ESPN began tracking pressures in 2009. So that's 14, 15 years of data, 14, 15 years of games, quarterbacks, 3rd most pressured quarterback in that span through 5 games. Jesus. The 18 sacks allowed over the last 2 games is the most by any team in a 2-game span since the 86 Eagles, when Lawrence Taylor was just feasting on Ron Jaworski and a very young Randall Cunningham. So, I mean, the Eagles got better. I think they were a playoff team in 88. So maybe 2 years from now, we'll be back in the playoffs. I think that was the Fog Bowl against the Bears in 88, if I do declare. According to Pro Football Focus, the Giants have allowed a league high pressure rate in week 5 of 54.4%. Giants currently have the highest sack rate allowed in franchise history since 1963, 14.65% sack rate. This season, the 1977 Giants, which anytime you're mentioning the 70s Giants, it cannot be good. The 77 Giants had a 12.89% sack rate. I feel like, who was the quarterback then? It was not Tarkenton, right? It was Craig Morton, possibly. Jones has been sacked 4 times in the first half so far. Ugh. He was the highest graded player offensively, 87.1. Again, it makes me question Pro Football Focus for sure, considering they gave Tua like a 50 some odd PFF grade. And it's like, he did have the 2 interceptions, but like, other than that, he was coasting. And so Daniel Jones obviously gets hurt. Blindside hit. Josh Azudu gets benched because of it. Matt Parrott has to come in. Josh Azudu, after the game, ends up apologizing to Daniel Jones and crying in his locker in full pads. So, I mean, it sucks that your starting left tackle is weeping. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But it is good to see some kind of emotion from a team that looks like they're still sleepwalking through the season. But anyone who, what I don't understand is like, people are going to keep bringing up the contract. They're going to keep saying it was a mistake. Again, I don't think it was a mistake. I think it's at the end of the contract, you're going to be like, it was the perfect amount of money. We didn't overpay. We didn't underpay. I can guarantee it. And even if it doesn't pan out, we're not locked into like a fucking 10-year contract. We have an out after year 2, I think. So it's like, I don't want to bench him. And I think he still has a lot. He's not working with a lot. when he has Saquon, when he has Andrew Thomas, it's a different offense. And I know they didn't really show it against the Cowboys, largely because Thomas was hurt like basically every series after that first series. So he's not 100%. Not that he really allowed any pressures still, because he's a god. But yeah, I mean, I think they just signed Kajust, who played for Patriots and one other team, has 5 career starts or something like that. I mean, we're really L. Collins is coming in for a workout, I believe. He also did a workout for the Jets. If you have Pugh, you sign Collins, you just sign Kajust. I mean, they're literally taking my advice from a few years ago, and being like, just throw as many offensive linemen into the mix and see who comes out on top. But this talk about, and I see it all over my timeline, tank for Caleb Williams, tank for Drake May. I'm here to say, fuck you. Are you dumb? Real talk. When is the last time a first-round quarterback draft pick went to the Super Bowl or won the Super Bowl? I guess you would say Joe Burrow. The last top 10 quarterback draft pick to win a Super Bowl was Eli Manning, 2004. So kind of hard for me to sit here and say, tank for Caleb Williams, tank for Drake May, when I have seen time and time again, highly touted college quarterbacks, possibly win a Heisman or 2, come to the league and suck a bag of dongs. So we know Daniel Jones can win. We've seen him win. We've seen him put the team on his back at times, especially last season. He took him to the playoffs and won a playoff game. Yeah, it was the Vikings. So what? Playoffs, on the road, won a playoff game. And doing things that no other quarterback has ever done. He's done that a couple times in his short career so far. So you want to throw away the potential of someone who's semi-proven, not completely proven. And believe me, this quarterback might have the most amount of detractors and haters, but also having almost an equal amount of supporters, loyalists, as any quarterback in the league, I think. But you want to bring in I'm going to say this, unknown entity in Caleb Williams or Drake May, in that they have never played a down in the fucking NFL or taken a snap in the NFL environment. You have zero idea of how they're going to respond. And that's a higher risk to draft someone like that than it is to take someone that has shown you flashes of greatness, I'll say it, and still has upside, in my opinion. It's not like he's over the hill. It's not like this year has been just, we get it. It's been a nightmare, and it's been some of the worst ball that he's ever played. But you gotta keep pointing back to the fact that we had 5 guards starting on the offensive line against the Dolphins. Evan Neal is, it's almost a foregone conclusion that dude's going to move to guard, or should be moved to guard. Zuta's a guard playing tackle. You have a guard playing center in Ben Bredesen, who got knocked out. You got, it's just rough. So, we got him all the weapons, right? We got him all the weapons in the world, but it does not matter when you cannot run the ball or protect the quarterback. So what the fuck is drafting Caleb Williams or Drake May going to do? They're going to come in and they're going to get obliterated, dude. You think they're going to be able to play better than what Daniel Jones has been able to do? I just don't see it. I don't know. And you know what? What's weird is there are plenty of teams out there that have a lot of injuries along the offensive line around the front. I think the Seahawks were going through that. They still held up pretty well against the Giants front, which isn't saying much, I guess. The Chiefs, that's how the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl to the Buccaneers, is their entire starting line was out, and Mahomes can do it, as much as we all think Mahomes is a superhero, like he could not fly his way out of that situation. So yeah, you can put it on the offensive line. What sucks is, and I think Art Stapleton pointed this out, is when the Giants do give him time, Jones is fucking up. But because it's such a small sample size, there's a lot more pressure on him to do it right when everything else clicks, which is few and far between. Does that make sense? So as opposed to having 30 some odd dropbacks and 20 plus of those or more are clean, meaning, not hurried, not rushed, not pressured, or, it's minimal. If he's missing these throws in that wider sample set, it's not as noticeable, or you're not going to get on him as much. But when it's a smaller sample set, when there's like legitimately five pass plays where it's clean and he should have made the throw and you're fucking up on all of them, it's like, yeah, he's under a microscope right now. I would just like to see him. To me, it feels easy, but who am I, dude? It seems like, all right, just don't lock into the first guy. Look at the first guy, go to the second guy. And when you're scrambling, look down the field. And I see fans tweeting about this all the time. We don't care if you throw 3 picks as long as you're throwing deep. It's these little dink and dunk shit that we get really pissed off about because they're just sitting on it. It's like, at least if you throw deep, you try and give your guy a chance. And like, you probably have a better chance. I don't know. But it's just, it's that's all he can afford to do. But it does suck when he does get the opportunity that he's not connecting. And there were opportunities where it's like, you could have put it on him. You could have put it on the receiver. Everyone's talking about that throw down the right sideline when Waller was on, when Xavier Howard was on Waller, and Howard got a piece of the ball. Now Waller got both hands on the ball, so you kind of wanted him to bring it in, hopefully, but it wasn't a clean, toss. Howard got his hand on it. That's a missed opportunity. There was another throw to Waller, I think down the left sideline, that Waller didn't come down with. There was a throw down the right sideline where he just leads Slayton a little bit too far out towards the sideline. Part of me thinks, though, that Slayton, you give him 10 tries at that, he probably gets his feet in half the time. Like, he probably could have made a little bit better effort to just get both his feet in. So it's, he had the shitty throw to Wandale when it could have been an easy first down. There's a handful of throws, and I'm telling you, it's because the guy is shell shocked. He's been subject to a historic amount of pressure. Like, we used to, if you follow football, we used to feel for Andrew Luck. The dude was getting his ass kicked every Sunday. And Daniel Jones has surpassed those numbers. Andrew Luck had to fucking retire because he was getting his ass beat. His offensive line stunk so much. He had to retire because he was worried that he was going to get so injured that he wouldn't be able to enjoy the rest of his life. That's how bad it got for him. So, offensive line. I know this is hyperbole, it's exaggerated, whatever, it's overblown, it's overstated, overreacting. I don't think I would be pissed if they just drafted offensive linemen and signed offensive lineman free agents next year. I would not blink an eye. I would be overjoyed. The amount of positive reception you would get. And it's just like, I think we'd all be for it. On the defensive side of the ball, weird game for the defense. The 9 rushing touchdowns allowed on the year are tied for the most in the league, while the 5.3 yards per carry allowed is tied for 29th. That drives me nuts because that was one of the things that we thought we were going to get. Like, our run defense sucked last year, especially when Dexter and Leo were out on the sideline. So we bring in Ashawn and Nacho. We're like somehow worse against the run. It's just, I don't know. It's crazy. And maybe it's Bobby Okereke being a little bit slow. Like, he's getting better. I think every week he's getting better. I know I said the Giants should get their money back after that fucking 51-yard catch and run from Noah Fant in the Seahawks game. I know I said that. And he is getting better. But it does feel like it took a long time for him to get to the point where we're looking at him as like, okay, this is a solid contributor we can count on. So I think that's been part of it. Not having Micah McFadden, who looked great against the 49ers, was probably part of it. But just not being aggressive. And the Dolphins are fast as fuck. There's no arguing that. Opposing back, like the top 5 speed marks records for the 2023 for ball carrier are all Dolphins. It's like Tyreek Hill, Devon A-Chain, Raheem Mostert, and that's not counting Jalen Waddle. So the Dolphin opposing backs are getting 3.7 yards before first contact, which is third worst mark in the league. That's that's just nuts, dude. Almost 4 yards before someone's touching the running back. Well, who is that on? Who is that on? I don't know. The Dolphins' 524 yards were the most by a Giants opponent since the Saints game, where New Orleans gained 608 yards in a 52-49 victory on November 1st, 2015. My God, do I remember that game? I had to work. I think it was like StreamCon or some bullshit at the Javits Center. And so I think I might have been watching on my phone while working the booth that no one visited. We got like one visitor over the span of 4 hours. I didn't really set up the best exhibit there, but I was assigned it like last minute. Did the best I could. Oof, good Bill Hunting. 600 yards. That was a fiasco, but at least our offense kept it close, and the way that game ended sucked. A-Chain's 76-yard run was the longest by a Giants opponent since Buffalo's Fred Jackson scored an 80-yard run in October 2011. Miami recorded 7 plays of 20 more yards, including 3 for more than 60 yards, and just 1 was a product of a deep pass down the field. That's the other part of this, is like we saw it against San Francisco. You saw it against Seattle. You saw it against Miami. These short passes where is everyone? And the tackling is atrocious, and the line of attack is atrocious. Like the pursuit is bad, the angle is bad, everything's bad. And so that's all. I mean, teams don't even have to go deep. They just throw it, bubble screen, flash screen, and the receiver can take it for it's a solid guaranteed 10 yards every time. Our first points of the first half this season come on defense. Our first touchdown. Our first points. Is that right? No. Our first points? First touchdown. Yeah. First touchdown in the first half of this season comes on defense. Jason Pinnock, pick 6, 102 yards, which was really cool to see. And I really thought maybe that might swing this game. Just fluky, freaky type of stuff. And maybe it really does take just one play to completely change things. It was, that Pinnock's pick 6 was tied for the longest interception return in Giants history, tying Eric Barnes in 1961, who intercepted a pass at Dallas and returned it 102 yards for a score. Pinnock's breakout season continues. His 37.3 passer rating allowed on 13 targets is the 10th best among all eligible defensive players. So Pinnock, yeah, good stuff. Cordell Flott posted a PFF grade of 90.3 versus Miami. Deonte Banks continues to get praise from Pro Football Focus. Where are we coming up short here? This is what I don't understand. I really thought the pick 6 would do something. It's now 14-10 instead of being 21-3. And we immediately let them drive down the field and kick a field goal. Not even any resistance whatsoever. I was just like, I guess it's to be expected when you have just come off the field off a long drive and you have to go immediately back on the field after just, running the length of the field. You must be a little tired. And then any chance of us coming back pretty much went out the window when we just left Tyreek Hill completely uncovered. And then Trey Hawkins finally realized, oh yeah, I'm going to be on the fastest player on the planet, runs over. And the moment he gets settled, I said touchdown. And sure enough, Hill burns Hawkins and there's no help over the top. McKinney comes up to play underneath. Why? I don't know. And then Pinnock is unable to get across. And so that's a touchdown. That pretty much sealed the deal. I mean, this was a blowout through and through. So it's weird that we only lost by 15 with a chance to come within a score at in the fourth quarter. Like if Tyrod Taylor converts that fourth down, we're now inside the red zone. You score there, you kick the extra point, you kick it, I don't know. So it's weird. It was completely a blowout, except it's there was still a chance. I think I'm out on Xavier McKinney. I don't know that I haven't seen a whole lot of positives from him this year, and I don't like how he's kind of handled himself. I don't know. Hopefully he turns it around, but it just seems like, he just doesn't look great on the field. I think he either poked out the ball on A-Chain or recovered the ball. Either forced the fumble or got the fumble recovery, so that was good to see. But how is this on paper a better defense, but yet a worse defense statistically than last season? I don't know. When we had literally guys off the street starting at cornerback, it's wild. It almost makes me think Dable would do better with just waiver wire guys, like guys they pick up off the street. Just, why not? It's obvious these other guys that are like high priced, veteran free agents or high draft picks aren't doing you any favors. But I don't think, and that kind of dovetails into what my next point was. 10 captains, dude. Why do we have 10 captains? That just feels a little much. 5 captains at most. I think McKinney's a captain. Why? I don't know that Leonard Williams is really a captain. To me, it's Dexter Lawrence, Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, Andrew Thomas, Graham Gano. That's your 5. Any other guys? It's like, I don't know. What have you seen from any of the other guys that makes you think, oh yeah, these are the guys that we want to lead the team and to look up to? I don't know. Prove me wrong, dude. Prove me wrong. I guess one of the bright spots, Kayvon Thibodeau had 2 sacks. He has 4 of the Giants' 5 sacks this season, which is so sad. And then while we blitzed like crazy against the Niners, 80, 90%, we only blitzed 12.5% of Tua's dropbacks, which Coach McDaniel found to be unexpected, wasn't prepared for it. They didn't prepare for that kind of defense, but it did not matter. It's just get your playmakers, your speedsters in open field, and you will score or pick up massive chunks of yardage. So, of course, Jones gets hit, knocked out of the game. They say it's a neck thing. He says it's similar pain to what happened in 2021 when he essentially missed the rest of the season, even though they led us to believe that he was going to come back. So stupid. And Marcus McKeithen hurt his knee. So another lineman bites the dust. Another lineman. Yeah, so a lot of people starting to look towards the trade deadline after that another blowout loss. We probably have another blowout loss coming on Sunday Night Football against the Bills. And so, people are talking about the trade deadline. And I think a lot of people are saying, there's very few players that you will not offer in a trade. And so I posed a question to Talking Giants, like what actually needs to happen in the next 3 weeks? Because trade deadline is Halloween. And so that means we'll have 3 more games before that trade deadline, right? We have the Bills, then we have the Commanders and the Jets. Unless there's some kind of like weird blip in the matrix, some kind of major catastrophe, I don't see us beating the Bills, but I could see us getting Thomas back, getting Barkley back, and edging out the Commanders and edging out the Jets. What do you need to see in those 3 games to make you think, oh, we got to kind of keep this core intact? We got to keep this team intact to make a second half run. Because listen, 3-5 is tough. I think it was 2019 when we were 3-5 or something to that effect, and we traded for Leonard Williams, and we damn near lost our minds. Like, what the fuck is Gettleman doing? And has that panned out, that trade? I mean, he makes so much goddamn money, and there are a lot of stats out there that I feel like are misleading and would have you believe that he's like on the level of Aaron Donald, and I don't think he is. So, I don't think we're going to be trading for anyone, although, I mean, I would not be opposed if they really have a good, so here's my take. We play right now the spread is 14 against the Bills. If we lose, but we're competitive, I keep saying this, just look competitive in your losses. We have not looked competitive in our losses at all. And that is what's most frustrating is like, if you were to come to us and say before the season, and I think a lot of people had this in our predictions, all right, you could go 1-5. We wouldn't really argue that too much, but we would say, well, it's 1-5, but it probably could be 2-4, 2-4, or 3-3. Like there's probably 2 or 3 games in there that we fought hard and we probably should have won. Not, oh, you had no chance in every game you lost. Like you just got blown out every game. That's a little different. So what needs to happen in the Bills game? If we are competitive and we lose by less than a touchdown, I think if we lose by a field goal, 3 to 6 points in that range, and then you go out and you beat the Commanders and the Jets, however, in whatever fashion, however that pans out, I don't know that you want to be complete sellers. I know it's so tough to come to grips with that. Because, like, honestly, in all probability, no, they're not going to the playoffs. Not the way they're playing. And I don't know that there's anything you can do in the next 3 games to make anyone think that they shouldn't sell. So, yeah, odds are they should probably just sell and sell big. But it's like, so tempted if they do go 3-5, knowing that the schedule is a little bit easier on the back end. And if they just pick up an offensive lineman or 2, we're in the money, dude. We're in the playoffs. Yeah, it's tough, but no, most likely, I know I have to keep reminding myself to sell. Just like the Mets. It's like the Mets had to sell, and they made the right decision by selling. Yeah, so that's the Dolphins game. Looking at the Bills game, Sunday Night Football, Highmark Stadium in Buffalo, lovely Orchard Park, New York. Vegas has the Bills as 14-point favorites. Over-under is 45. I think like 45 of those will be scored by Buffalo. Josh Allen has thrown for over 1,400 yards and 11 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs has over 500 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. James Cook has almost 300 yards rushing and a touchdown. The last 5 matchups that we've had with them, we've won 3 of 5. So we lost in 2003, November of 2003, 24-7. That was like the tail end of Jim Fossil's reign as coach. I believe at that point, Kerry Collins had been hurt and lost for the season. And they had Jesse Palmer taking snaps. The 2007 game was right before Christmas when it was like a must win for the Giants to get in the playoffs. And that's when Ahmad Bradshaw broke it off big time to seal the win in the snow. October of 2011, we won 27-24. That was against, was that against Ryan Fitzpatrick? I think maybe. Again, 2011 season, went to the Super Bowl and won, no big deal. 2015, we won 24-10. I think Tyrod Taylor might have been the quarterback for the Bills at that point. And then in 2019, when Josh Allen was firmly entrenched as the signal caller, we lost 28-14, which seems closer than I remember it being. I remember we had like a lights out first drive where I was like, oh my God, we're taking it to the Bills and we're going to win. And then nothing happened after that. Just like nothing positive happened. So the all-time series is tied at 7. We are 0-2 at home. This is away. So we're 1-2 away. Buffalo is 2-1 at home, 1-1 away. We're 0-5 against the spread for all you bettors out there. Bet against the Giants. Buffalo is 3-2 against the spread. The Bills are 3rd in the league in points scored per game. They're 5th in the league in points allowed per game. They're 5th in takeaway differential at a +6. They're 4th in passing yards per game, and they're 8th in defensive passing yards per game. I don't even know if I want to talk about where the Giants rank. I mean, the Giants rank almost dead last in every category. 31st in points scored per game, 29th in points allowed per game, -5 takeaway differential. That's with a +3 last week. Holy shit. Is 27th in the league, 31st in passing yards per game, 23rd in rushing yards per game, 19th in defensive passing yards per game, and 30th in rushing yards per game. So it's ugly. It's ugly. And there's no updated injury report, but last week, Gregory Rousseau was out, did not play due to a foot. Tre'Davious White, their corner, was out with Achilles. Von Miller was questionable with the knee, but he did play against the Jags in London. But Matt Milano did tear an ACL. He did something. He's out for the season. So it's a big blow for the Bills. They had a couple guys get hurt in that game that they lost 25-20 to Jacksonville. So do I think that the Bills are – I think the Dolphins are the Dolphins are a better team than the Bills. But the Bills blew them out, didn't they? I don't know. NFL's weird. So, yeah, I wanted to say this. I think the Bills are susceptible on offense, meaning Josh Allen is prone to turnovers at the worst possible times. Can we continue to force turnovers on defense? That will help our cause. It didn't really stop the train, the express train from hell in Miami. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's prime time. We're 14-point dogs. Doesn't seem like we're going to have Andrew Thomas. I can't even see a world where it makes sense for Saquon Barkley to play. It's possible John Michael Schmitz doesn't play. There's just so many injuries. And, it's almost like, should we throw Tyrod out there to the Wolves and be like, we just don't want Jones to lose him to the season. Like, let's give him another week to heal up that neck. Oh, so brutal. It's a tough spot. So it would be nice to not get blown out. But that's the thing. If we do get blown out and we come out and beat the Commanders and Jets, you're 3-5 and you're hopefully getting healthier. That's going to be tough. But sell. Just sell. It's just, I see tweets from like Art Stapleton saying like, oh, the Lions last year started 1-6 and finished 9 and something, almost made the playoffs. Probably should have made the playoffs. They were one of the hotter teams down the stretch. I think we talked about it before. One of the Bengals teams was 1-5, went on to make the playoffs. There have been a dozen or so teams that have had really shitty starts that have made the playoffs, turn around. So I don't want to completely count us out. And maybe it is just the flip of last year. Although we did not play this poorly down the stretch. Jesus Christ. But maybe it is, like I said before, a 1-6 start, 1-5 start. And then we just go on a run. Commanders, Jets, Packers, Raiders, Patriots, get those 5 in the bag. And now we're at 8 wins. And we just got to pull out something against like the Rams, maybe the Cowboys, maybe the Eagles if they sit everyone. All right. Well, that's the Giants. Briefly talk about the Mets. Phillies sweep the Marlins. That was another series where it's like, I don't know who to root for. It's like, I think I want the Marlins to win, but also the Marlins, like they spoil our fun so much. So it was fine. The Phillies sweep the Marlins. And I guess the Marlins I don't know who they're blaming. They're blaming us for something. And then the D-backs swept the Brewers, which was kind of an eye-opener. I did not have that in my crystal ball. So it's now Phillies Braves. It's tied one apiece. I'm rooting for the Phillies to beat the Braves because that's funny. And I think that's hilarious that they can be crowned the best team in baseball and everyone's filleting them left and right, tickling their balls and whatnot. And to be eliminated in the divisional series that's sweet. And then I need the Phillies to lose in the NLCS. Please, God. So D-backs advance. I wanted the Brewers to go to the World Series, and I want the Orioles to go to the World Series. And Orioles just got eliminated, swept by the Rangers. And then the Brewers get swept by the D-backs in the divisional series. By the way, this best of 3 in the divisional series? What a crock of shit. I didn't like the one-off wild card. I thought that was pretty, it's intense. It's passionate, but like to play 162 regular season games, make the playoffs and one and done is just a really bad feeling. 2016 Mets right there is like, that was like, ugh, all that for that. So the best of 3, I'm not a fan. I'll go best of 5. But then you push back the divisional series anymore, and you have all these people coming out and saying like, well, the Dodgers and Braves are losing these divisional series because they have such a long time off from the end of the regular season, the beginning of the divisional series. So it's like, I don't see them extending it to the best of 5. But a best of 3 feels too short. I don't know. So yeah, let's go Phillies, and then we need the D-backs to demolish the Phillies, which the D-backs have handled the Dodgers like easily. So Buck Showalter, on his way out the door, reveals that he wanted to bench or trade Daniel Vogelbach, and Billy Eppler, who was then GM of the Mets, said no. Over the past several months, it became clear to some within the Mets that Eppler and Buck Showalter are not on that level with one another. I don't understand, if you're Billy Eppler, what the fuck you're doing. What are you doing telling Buck Showalter what to do? It's one thing if this was, what was his name? Louis Rojas? Like a rookie manager? A guy with like 5 years experience as a manager or less? Maybe. Buck Showalter, you're telling him what to do, dude? I feel bad for Buck. And I guess Billy Eppler is your boss, but if I'm Buck, I'm like, fuck off. Vogelbach doesn't have it, and we're losing games because of him. So let me do my thing. I think I know what I'm doing. Thanks. And then in a shocking turn of events, Billy Eppler resigns. It was a surprise in the organization. A lot of people didn't see it coming. And the claim at the time was that he wanted David Stearns to have a clean slate. And then it comes out that the New York Post reported that Billy Eppler was under league investigation for improper use of the injured list, which literally every organization and franchise does in Major League Baseball. They use loopholes, and they definitely work the injured list to their benefit. So they make sure they have the best roster out there available. So Eppler is not the only guy. Hopefully he's not the only guy that goes down for this, but for him to resign based on that alone is kind of crazy. It came out that Steve Cohen is not the focus of the probe, and that Stearns will likely hire a general manager to replace Eppler and work underneath him. Stearns did not bring in a lot of his own people from Houston when he took the Milwaukee job in 2016. So it's not, there's an expectation that he will not bring in a lot of Brewer staffers to the Mets, into the Mets fold, and that he is, reports are that he seemingly has won over a lot of people within the Mets organization so far, which is good to hear. So what are some of his biggest offseason decisions? Well, first and foremost, GM. I saw someone suggest that Miami's Kim Nig, I don't know how to pronounce that shit, dude. I'm white. Not an excuse, but I probably should have looked it up. Yeah, so Kim Ning, which is interesting because I feel like the Marlins, to make the playoffs, given the fact that they really did not want to spend a lot and haven't, and are frequently trading away their talent for prospects and younger players and over the years, and have now been competitive. I know that they are not like everyone thinks. Everyone thought that they were like these automatic W's. It's like, nah, dude, they're feisty. So she is a potential candidate, which I don't hate. And then someone else on Twitter suggested Sig Mejdal, currently one of the architects of the current Orioles team, spent 3 seasons with David Stearns at the Astros. The Mets reportedly showed previous interest in Mejdal during their previous search in 2021. When we ended up going with fucking Jared Porter. And then, oh my God, we've had so many GMs. We've had, in the past 5 years, 5 GMs? It's outrageous. And then manager, that's another big off-season decision for David Stearns. He said he would cast a wide net. Brewers are out of it. So is Craig Counsell the hottest ticket on the free agent coach market? Is that a thing? I don't know. I know that I guess he's the leader in the clubhouse for a lot of fans, but it looks like I don't know. I mean, it has been voted the most desirable managerial opening, and it seems like there's I know that a lot's changed, but like the core of what is believed to be a championship team is there. So yeah, I agree with that. Pete Alonso, big offseason decision. Do we trade him? Do we extend him? After the news came out that Buck was fired or let go, Alonso, there were a lot of rumors swirling that there was going to be a trade to the Cubs, which has since been kind of shot down. I don't think a lot of people believe in that, but since his debut, Pete Alonso has been responsible for 904 of the 3,200 plus runs scored by the Mets. That is 28.2% of the offense produced by one bat for 5 years straight. Yeah, I'm all for extending him. It's just, can we not do it for 10 years, 9 years, 8 years, 7 years? 6, I think, would be the most I would go. Preferably 4 or 5. Third base, kind of a big decision. Do you want to roll with your young talent, hoping that they'll develop and get better and blossom? Or do you want to bring in a more tried and true option? I think we saw enough of Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos to say that the odds of us feeling good about having them be the platoon or one of them starting at third base is slim to none. I personally view them as trade bait. Although I would think Vientos, maybe you want to keep around as a DH and just spell Pete at first. And then Ronnie Mauricio, can play second, but maybe could also play third. And they have McNeil play second. So that's, we talked about last episode, like I think making a strong push for Matt Chapman would help, alleviate the fears there. And then the starting rotation, a lot of holes there. I have 3 open slots, possibly 4, because we don't know what Senga's schedule is going to be like next year. Is it going to be like this year where he's doing every 6th day instead of every 5th day, which means you need to have a guy go on that 5th day. They wouldn't normally. So it's Senga and Quintana, but then you need 3 more pitchers or 4 more pitchers. We had Peterson McGill, who were pretty bad in the first half to 3/4 of the season and came on kind of strong towards the end. Jose Buto, Joey Lucchesi. It's good depth pieces, but you don't want them starting. It could be long relief. But yeah, it's like, I don't know that any of those guys are someone that you would say, yep, that's our 5. Yep, that's our 4. Yep, that's our 3. It's just it's too risky. There's too much risk associated with it. So I think you got to go out and make a strong push for a few guys. One of them being Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Yoshi. He won his 3rd consecutive Triple Crown. 16 wins, 1.21 ERA, and 169 strikeouts. He also led the league in batting average against, 198. He had a whip of 0.74, 1.74 FIP, 5.32 WPA, and 7.0 WAR. 7 WAR. Whoa. So I saw a figure that was like 5 years, $85. $85. That would be a sweat, dude. Feels like he's underpaid. 5 years, $85 million. That seems, it seems too good to be true. I think they're going to have to pay more than that. But I think that it almost feels like it's like a lock. Like I can't see that not happening. So you got Yoshi, but then you got to think about 2-3 more guys. Oof. Yeah, that's rough. Omar Narvaez. He has a player option, $7 million. I guess he would take it if he's just all about that money, boss. But at the same time, if he's a guy that likes to play a lot and start, it's not happening here because Francisco Alvarez has the starting catching position on lockdown. So does he say to himself, you know what? I had my time. Now I get to be a mentor and I get to make a decent amount of money doing it and not having to play every day and, spell him every once in a while. I don't know. He must have a bitter taste in his mouth because he lost his job due to injury. It wasn't really performance. And then he didn't perform well, but then he continued to lose it because Alvarez just took off like a rocket and was performing and Narvaez wasn't at all. So I guess he would take the player option because that's a decent chunk of change. I don't know if he would get that on the open market. But if we trade him, it would be a similar situation with James McCann where we have to eat a lot of that salary. So it's like, would you eat half of that just to bring in another pitcher? I don't know. Adam Ottavino also holds a player option for $6.75 million. He said he wanted to come back to Queens. So I see him taking that. Brooks Raley has a club option for $6.5 million with a $1.25 million buyout. I don't know that. I don't know how I feel about Brooks Raley. In the article it says that he's the most dependable guy in the bullpen. Yeah, I guess you gotta scoop that up because you don't have many options beyond him as of right now. Plenty of candidates in arbitration. First year guys among them. Well, David Peterson is one of them. DJ Stewart is another guy. First year of arbitration. Second year of arbitration is Tim LaCastro, Michael Perez, John Curtis, Jeff Brigham, Denny Mendick. Third year arbitration is Pete Guillorme, Elisiad Hernandez, Vogelbach, Drew Smith, Lucchesi, and Gott. So these players that are in arbitration can either be designated for assignment or non-tendered. This article posits that Vogelbach could be designated for assignment along with Guillorme, Mendick, and Jonathan Aruz. Castro, Perez, Ortega, and Stewart are veterans who provide depth. Hernandez had a lost season. So, yeah, it doesn't look like a ton of, I highlighted 4, maybe 5 names that I was like, yeah, let's get that done. Alonso, Lucchesi, Castro, I'm kind of on the fence of, but leaning towards yes. And then DJ Stewart, and then David Peterson, obviously. Although Rafael Ortega is interesting. I mean, he provided some cool moments. I don't know. It's good to have that kind of energy in the clubhouse, right? So the Athletic also ranked us, the Mets, 4th among non-playoff teams with the brightest future, have the best chance of making the playoffs in 2024. So, we have our core: Lindor, Nimmo, Alonso, Diaz, Senga, McNeil, Alvarez. If you can get a fully healthy Marte to play like he did in 2022, that could change a whole lot for this club. Quintana, Raley, Ottavino, Peterson, McGill are keepers, I think, for depth purposes. And then I'm kind of out on Drew Smith. I mean, he had a higher walk rate last year. Mostly league average numbers. He has minor league options remaining and won't be a free agent until 2025. Trevor Gott, he's arbitration eligible. So we might see Luiangel Acuna. That'd be pretty sweet. And then the guy among the depth pieces that I like the most, DJ Stewart, obviously, but this Bryce Montes de Oca, 6'7", can throw 102 miles per hour and holds minor league options, but missed all of 2023 because of Tommy John surgery. So that's the dude. If that guy can come back healthy, that'll be fun to watch. That'll be a nice little boost to the bullpen. So yeah, I think they're going to be a healthy amount of turnover and change with this roster going into 2024. But as people have noted, I can't believe that we're not going to be competitive. I just have a feeling that this year was a complete anomaly, and you're going to see a different team next year, a team that will not be at the same level that 2022 was. That was insane, but at least it feels like we're going to be more of a threat. We're going to show some more fight, which I think was a major issue. And this year was like, where's the fight? Where's the enthusiasm? It just felt like we were lackadaisical, slow, just like never woke up, just sleepwalking until it was too late. So, yeah, I'm confident that Stearns, I'm totally fine with Stearns just pulling the trigger on under the radar trades and acquisitions and signings. They're not going to make major headlines, but they're gonna be solid contributors that are gonna blow the game for us. I think that was the toughest part. Is like, even no lead was safe, and every deficit felt like impossible to come back from. I just don't see that happening as much in 2024. So, that's the Mets. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll talk to you next time. Adios, muchachos.